Discovery, go at throttle up. Do you think Microsoft Windows is worth? Wait just 1 minute before you answer. And listen to this incredible news. Windows.
Makes me happy.
Watch as Windows integrates reversing. Can you believe it?
Well, technically,
No! Don't answer. Now we can paste this Ferrari into Windows Light.
I'm not really sure what that is.
Listen to what else you get. No extra charge. A card file, a notepad, a clock, a control panel, a terminal, that's right. Order today. Order Windows. Order Windows today. It's an incredible value, but it's true.
Cool. It's free screensavers.
And reversing. Order today. Order Windows. Order Windows today.
not really.
It's just $99.
Wow.
That's right.
What?
It's just $9.
I just can't afford it.
Wait just 1 minute. I love Windows.
Hello. Is it time for a space news? A time for the space? Is it time for the space news? All right. Let's see. Where should we start? Is it Windows time? It is Windows time.
How much do you think Microsoft Windows is worth? Wait just 1 minute before you answer. And listen to this incredible news that Windows, 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 Windows.
Makes me happy.
Makes me happy. You guys don't like that song, huh? Shame. Buenos dias. What's up, man? How's everybody doing? With some good news? Okay, so yeah, we can start off with some good news. I paid money to not play that ever again. Well, so? So, we'll start with over the weekend. So, over the weekend, Falcon 9 was supposed to launch Cygnus NG21 on Saturday. That scrubbed. Something about rain. I don't know. What could possibly be happening in Florida right now? There's lots of rain, right? Anyway, and so they ended up launching it yesterday, and it was actually, yeah, magical. This part. This is the part I want to show you. This part is not bad. Watch this. Because there was let's just say there was precipitation in the area. The only bad part about it was stubby nozzle. Let's just say because there was precipitation in the area and a little bit of humidity, we had some really awesome flow phenomenon here happening on the first stage. Ignore the stubby part. Watch this. Whoa. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good. So that's pretty neat. Oh. It's up there, T-Man. Yeah. That's pretty good. Yeah, the atmosphere there was a lot of precipitation in the atmosphere. I could watch this 1,000 times, it'd still be cool. Insane view. Yeah, there's some insane engineering going on here. That's flying. That's amazing. What a great picture, dude. Oh, man. I don't hate that. That was booster 1080.10. That was its 10th flight. Oh, boy. SpaceX just released footage from that tracking camera on the Twitterers. Okay. Okay. Oh. Oh, yeah, they did. Yeah, let's look at this goat, man. Whee! That's pretty cool. So what you're seeing is because it's so humid, right? The pressure change that happens from this thing flying through the air creates a lot of vapor cones. It's the pressure because the air gets compressed and then decompressed like immediately. So you see some really, because there's a lot of precipitation in the atmosphere, you see a lot of puffiness. You don't always see this every time because, you know, airspeed, Mach number, precipitation, humidity, altitude, etc., etc. Basically, you need the right atmospheric conditions to see something like that. Dude, it is wild. Damp rockets. 67-month resub
Discovery, go
from
and throttle up.
Graham Weldon. Weld Grampton. I mean, I could watch this a lot. Also, an interesting thing to note is the angle of attack of this booster. It seems like, you know, it seems like it's like this, but, you know, we know Falcon 9s don't really come down like this, but I'm guarantee you that thing's, it's not flying, but it's almost flying. And then, as a lot of you pointed out, you could see the pyrophoric ignition right there. See the green? Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. Well, that's pretty neat. That's awesome. Dude. I'm sorry. I mean, look at the angle of attack change from here to there. It's 20 degrees at least. I mean, keep in mind that could just be the camera. They fire the RCS at the last second. The RCS is the only thing that you can use to keep yourself on an even keel right here. Grid fins aren't doing anything, man. That's why the RCS is firing. Because right here, like basically right when you get to landing leg deploy, you're going so slow that the air moving through the grid fins is not substantial to create effective moment on the vehicle. So you have a little bit of a loss of control here. And that's where the RCS makes up for it. Or their ACS, SpaceX calls it an attitude control system. It's firing to make sure that that thing stays on an even keel so it can do a nice, soft landing. Just like that. It is using a little bit of body lift, Debs, but you generally don't get a ton from a cylindric shape like this. I mean, the air basically just slips right around it. You get a little bit. Yeah, that's right. Well, that's why this footage is fantastic. Oh. They made a little bit of correction right there. Kept it nice and right on an even keel. Oh. Damn, that's cool. Yep, right there, you can see it just tilted just a little bit. It's just correcting, keep the thing nice on an even keel. That's working with the thrust vector control. But you got to remember, a lot of this is being used to stop the vehicle, not necessarily steer it. You're getting into trigonometry there with thrust vector control and cosine losses and stuff. But long story short, the thrust vector control down here is working with the attitude control system to keep that thing nice and straight. When it comes down, you don't want to tap one landing leg before the other. That can break things. Now keep in mind, it's never going to tap all four down at the same time. If you notice, it kind of settles, it bounces around a little bit, but that's okay. That's all right. It's still wild to see it though, because yeah, this with this part, you're going so slow that your aerodynamic control surfaces, the grid fins, are not doing anything. They're not doing anything. This is a very unstable, flight regime for rockets when they're coming into land. For most rockets that do land, Falcon 9. This is, yeah, very aerodynamically unstable. The thing can just fall over, right? Simultaneously, rockets, when they take off, when they do that, when they're taking off, that's also very aerodynamically unstable. Yeah, for liftoff and landing. Yeah. that period of aerodynamic instability is, yeah, that's what makes me wonder about Super Heavy, because there's a point where the aero control surfaces, the grid fins on Super Heavy, like Falcon 9, are not going to be doing anything. It's just going to weeble wobble around. I also have to sneeze. Look at a light. Look at a light. Look at a light. Look at a light. Look, okay. It went away. Is that residual propellant during ignition on the left of the center engine? Residual? No, it's firing one engine, and it's firing the E1, the E5, and the E9 motor. So, yeah. 1, 5, and 9. I think 1 is over here, 5 is over here, and 9 is right there. Super Heavy doesn't have an attitude control system exactly like Falcon 9 Sasquatch, but it has an ACS, but it doesn't work exactly like Falcon 9's. Yeah. I think the E9 is the motor that's in the center, Darth Thalo. I'm pretty sure that E1 is over here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But yeah, this stuff right here, you could see the other two engines getting ready to fire. It fires one engine first and then 3, and then goes back to 1 during the final part of landing, to not shock load the booster. That also actually is more efficient doing it that way. Landing with 3 engines. It's a shorter landing burn. Yeah, believe it or not. Actually more efficient. Higher TWR on first stages for going up, and turns out coming back down gives them more delta V. In this particular case for landing, Falcon 9 uses the absolute, because from a shorter landing burn, it uses the absolute maximum amount of time to try and get to terminal velocity, basically using as much of the atmosphere to slow down as possible. Shorter landing burn, yeah, means you're using more time, you have more time to aero brake. Now on the way up, it's the opposite of that. You want high TWR on your first stage to get out of the atmosphere as quick as possible. It's wild. Very, very cool stuff. Just, I could watch this over and over again. It's so rad. They make it look so easy. If you and I were standing in this picture, we'd be about as tall as the mouse cursor, guys. That is your size for Falcon 9. You and I would be about as big as as tall as the mouse cursor right here. A person in this particular scenario is about that big. You believe that? Yeah, you and I are about that big. That's your scale for Falcon 9. It's hard to discern scale because you really never see people walking next to these things a lot, but yeah, Wally, these Falcon 9 first stage is what, like, I think it's like 47 meters or something, which is 150 feet. This is a 15-story building, dude. Building with 15 floors. That's how tall that is. I'm telling you, we take it for granted, but that's not a small piece of equipment. You don't realize how big it is until you go and see one. Just like, I mean, that's the case with most spaceflight hardware. Yeah, we did see a Cygnus launch. Pretty awesome. And they did deploy Cygnus on time. Now, there was some awesome footage from Ben Cooper, who is the Cape Canaveral KSC official photographer. He took some pictures of that first stage coming back through, and once again, because there's so much precipitation in the atmosphere, there's a lot of humidity, right? The shocks that this thing made actually combined with the atmospheric effects. I'm not 100% sure what causes this, but it basically turned the shocks into a prism. You can see it's refracting all different spectrum of visible light, which is super cool. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even know shockwave rainbows were a thing. I guess in high humidity conditions, sure. I guess so. I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't do that, right? Like, it's throwing around air with water vapor in it, you know. In higher concentrations, sure, yeah, it makes a prism. It does make sense. Yeah, right, Dime? It makes perfect sense. I'm just like, damn, those are shockwave rainbows. That... What does it mean? That's really freaking cool. It's pretty awesome. So there was that, and that's pretty awesome. SpaceX also had some footage of Cygnus being deployed. Yeah, here we go.
Should be hearing that call out any moment for payload deployment of the Cygnus spacecraft.
This is the special payload attachment fitting right here.
Cygnus deploy confirmed.
Bingo.
And there you have it, a successful
Bon
spacecraft
voyage,
separation.
Cygnus.
The Cygnus spacecraft is now on its way
Nice.
to the
It's
International
a beautiful
Space
Mormon
Station,
right here.
and as mentioned, is expected to arrive about
That's the
70
grapple
hours from
fixture
now.
for the ISS for
And with
berthing.
successful separation, that's going to do it for me here in Hawthorne. Be sure to check spacex.com/launches for a schedule of our...
That's fantastic. That's spaceship, man. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Now Cygnus is on track to get up to the ISS on Tuesday. Tuesday. It's going to be Tuesday, isn't it? Right. So the interesting thing is that there were some controls issues with Cygnus. Cygnus was supposed to do a burn yesterday at basically around noontime called the TB1 burn. And that was basically to put it into the right phasing with the ISS. It did not do it, interestingly enough. When Northrop Grumman engineers commanded the thruster to try and do it again, it also said no. It said no. It was like, nah, why don't you ask me later, Crabsy? So something went weird with Cygnus's control mechanism, but it actually has since been rectified. So that prompted a NASA press release here. The Cygnus spacecraft completed deployment of its two solar arrays at 2:21 p.m. after launching at 11:02 a.m. Shortly after launch, the spacecraft missed its burn slated for 11:44 a.m. due to a late entry burn sequencing. Known as the Target Altitude Burn, or TB1, it was rescheduled for 12:34, but aborted the maneuver shortly after the engine ignited due to a slightly low initial pressure state. There is no indication the engine itself has any problems at this time. Cygnus is at a safe altitude. And then, just when we started the stream, they posted this today. Northrop Grumman's Cygnus spacecraft continues on its way to the International Space Station following launch at 11:02 a.m. on August 4th on a Falcon 9 from Space Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. The Cygnus spacecraft completed deployment of its two solar panels the same day. It has since completed 2 delta velocity burns. Oh, wow. 2 delta velocity burns. I'll take 2 delta velocities, please. And it remains on track for capture by the station's robotic arm, slated for 3:10 a.m. on Tuesday, August 6th. The spacecraft is in a safe trajectory and all other systems are operating normally. Shortly after launch, the spacecraft performed as designed by canceling a scheduled engine burn due to a slightly low initial pressure reading flagged by the Cygnus onboard detection system. Engineers at Northrop Grumman's Mission Control Center in Dulles evaluated the pressure reading, confirmed it was acceptable, and reworked the burn plan to arrive at the space station on the original planned schedule. There you go. This is the second time Cygnus has launched on Falcon. It launched on the NG-20 mission back in January. Cygnus was originally supposed to launch on Antares, and it did for about 19 missions. And up until very recently, it decided it's been launching on Falcon to make up for the fact that there's no Antares left. Why is there no Antares left? Antares uses, it had Russian engines and a Ukrainian core stage. So that's not a thing anymore. Northrop Grumman has since redesigning Antares with other forms of propulsion. Why the stubby nozzle? The short engine nozzle? You take an efficiency hit with that engine nozzle, Sea Kraken, not necessarily a thrust hit. The efficiency is not needed. Cygnus is absurdly light for Falcon 9. So SpaceX chooses to do that because I'm not going to sit here and say they have exhausted the niobium supply, but they've done that. Yep. They are looking to not use up all the metal in the world that they use to make second stages. 2 Delta Vs and a large T-tab with no ice. Yep. I'll take 1 GM63XL. Take 2 Delta Vs, 1 Max Q. I'll take 2 T-tabs with no ice. Are we starting a space food themed restaurant? And if you want more SRBs attached to your launch vehicle, does that mean it's spicier? This could work. This could work. This is a good idea. Super heavy me. Add more boosters. If you add more boosters, you get more French fries. You add more SRBs, right? It's spicier. SRB hot dog. Yeah, we'll serve hot dogs with attachable. You get a foot-long dog and you have the little cocktail wieners around the edge so it looks like an attachable rocket. It can work, man. It can work. It can work, bro. I swear. To get a shot of UDMH, yeah, it'll really mess you up real quick. I'm in, dude. We gotta start a food truck, and the food truck needs to look like the Astro van. Oh. Oh, man. We need to start a food truck, and the food truck needs to be an Airstream 310. The food truck needs to be this. It needs to be that. Yes. Oh, it's such a good idea, man. Damn. Crap. If I wasn't a streamer, I'd do that right now. Balls. That's a good idea. Ordering Delta Heavy style. You want a little extra char. It's such a good idea, Kralati. I love it. I love it so much. Oh, man. Like, you have cheese fries, and if you want full flow stage combustion cheese fries, it's cheese fries with bacon and like bacon bits and hot sauce and like poutine on it. Oh, it's a good idea. It's a good idea. It'd absolutely work. Oh, I'd be so fat. What does return to launch site mean? Don't know. I don't. Yes, that's what it means. Starliner burgers served late all the time. Return to launch site is a refill. Yeah. Buy the RTLS mug, and you get free refills because you have a reusable cup. American broomstick. plain fries. Oh, it's so good. Dude, this is too good of an idea. Crap. Crap. Might not be suitable to show on stream, but you might like this. Blue Origin is where you never get your order. Oh, no. That's a great picture, Hank. Nice. That's a nice retired aircraft. Oh, that's awesome. What's Rocket Lab then? I don't know, man. We're gonna have to figure it out. You know, you want densified propellants, you get a Frosty. You get a milkshake. I'll take a Rocket Burger, extra four extra boosters, right? With a side of T-Tab and densified propellants, chocolate densified propellants. It's awesome. Kids menu, sounding rockets, Aqualux, easy. Sounding rockets. Suborbital rockets. I'll take a new Shepherd for my boy here. Yep. Oh. And the cookie's fortune. And then the wonton soup. And then. Okay, speaking of SpaceX, take a look at this. They actually posted this over the weekend, too. SpaceX has new pictures of Raptor 3. We got some specs to go with it, dudes. 280 tons force, 350 second specific impulse, 1525 kilogram engine mass. Engine plus vehicle side commodities and hardware is 1,700 kilos. Apparently this is a thing. Space food truck. Okay. Yeah. So there's Raptor 1 and Raptor 2. And then Raptor. Casual 160 thrust of weights here. Rocket Guy, I was actually saying that... oh, there it is on the test stand. I was actually saying that... You know... The TWR is absurd, but for the size, that's actually a really heavy engine. Most engines that are this size don't weigh that. But, you know, like, this engine is not much bigger than a Merlin. You know what I mean? It's not really that big, right? But it's as heavy as that over there, interestingly enough. Nice, Jared. Yeah, that means, I mean, there's a lot of components packed in this. I mean, 1,500 kilos, that's a lot. That is a lot of dim. That's an extremely dense engine for the size, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you make an 160 thrust of weight. Yep. Yep. She's a thick boy. Yep. What's over here? Milan, what you're asking over in the YouTube chat. Do you think they will skip to Raptor 3 before using all the Raptor 2s just like they did with boosters and ships? I would use... Raptor 1s, no. And it's funny because, Milan, this thing has been sitting outside for a little bit because it looks like a copper roof that's on somebody's house. Because it's green. That's copper oxide, if I'm understanding that right. So that thing just got left outside, the Raptor 1. I think they'll use up the Raptor 2s for test flights, and then they'll switch to Raptor 3s. I think they will use them. That's actually a good question. Yeah, they got rid of Raptor 1 because that's very much a developmental piece of equipment. I think we'll see the remaining Raptor 2s that are there. We'll see those fly. Might even get some of those back. Yeah, also if they've made 569 Raptors. I guess, you know, remember a little while back, about a year ago, when Elon's like, we have to scale Raptor production, the fate of the company depends on it. We might go bankrupt if you don't make 60 Raptors a day. It's not 60 Raptors a day, but Okay, message received. Yeah, 569 Raptor 2s have been made. Thanksgiving 2 years ago, he said that. Well, let's just say it was a year ago, okay? They scaled back from 1 Raptor a day because not enough flights. Capybara, what's up? Hope you're doing good nowadays. I decided to go into engineering and maybe you had some influence in that. Thanks. You're welcome, I think. I'm glad. Glad I could help you find something that's awesome. What is the nozzle made out of? Metal. Can't you see? It's made out of metal. If I remember right, 33 engines plus Raptor 3 is over 10,000 kilonewtons. No, it's way more than that. We're talking like 70,000 kilonewtons here. 15 million pounds of thrust, give or take. That's not bad. How do they even reach 350-second specific impulse on sea-level Raptors? Didn't think that was possible with methane engines. Chamber pressure, Lazarus. It's the chamber pressure. Yeah, chamber pressure. Cybertrucks make it 50 feet and die. I've never heard of a Cybertruck doing that, Jared. Raptor V3 has better ISP than the Merlin vacuum. I would hope so, Forge. It's methane. I would hope it does. Yeah, they said this was sea level. Yep. What's specific impulse? Specific impulse is measured in seconds burn time. The really plain English way of saying it is, well, how much energy can you get out of a certain amount of propellant? And that ties into like exhaust velocity and total impulse of propellants, etc., etc. It's the efficiency of the motor. Plain English way of saying it would be like the miles per gallon. 350 seconds specific impulse is pretty damn good. Now, keep in mind you're using methane, right, with Raptor, so you're gonna get with methane. So what's methane? Methane is CH4. You have a big carbon atom and you have 4 hydrogen kind of around it. With methane, you're going to get a pretty damn efficient burn. That carbon kind of makes it a little bit inefficient, but that carbon makes it more energetic. When that carbon thing pops, it makes a lot of heat. Let me put it to you like that. So the crazy thing is that 350 second specific impulses, that's ridiculously good for a methane engine. If you're going to get more efficient methane engines, the most inefficient out of like bipropellant liquid propellants is hypergulls. Hypergulls are at the bottom. Now, and then if you move into semi-cryogenics like kerosene and liquid oxygen, RP1 and liquid oxygen, you get a lot of energy, but it's not very efficient because you're shooting out unburnt hydrocarbons. That's really good for keeping an engine design simple, but for other reasons. With methane, you're a little bit more efficient, but you're still not totally efficient because you still do get some unburnt hydrogen and carbon coming out of it. Now with Raptor, you don't really get that because there's basically a freaking blast furnace inside of this thing. But you know, more about that later. And then like the most efficient would be hydrogen. Hydrolox. Hydrolox is very efficient, but it's also a pain in the butt. And hydrogen does not give you a lot of boom, to be honest with you. It's like think of it like slow burning. It's a nice, slow, efficient burn. So you don't get the best explosion from hydrogen. I mean, you could make it explode better. That's what they did with the shuttle engine, the fuel-rich stage combustion. That's how they got those shuttle engine to fuss from da. You know what I mean? But yeah, with hydrogen, generally, you're not. It's efficient. You get a higher specific impulse. So yeah. So like, what's the most efficient stuff we have right now? RL-10s and space shuttle main engines make about 450 seconds specific impulse. That's about as efficient as you're going to get for any rocket engine currently flying. In the future, are there other ways to do this? Yes, sure. Oh yeah, there are better ways. A Hydrolox is like 490 in a perfect world. Yeah. Tori's comments about Raptor 3. Yep. Yeah, we can hit theoretical. We could get theoretically higher with not a Hydrolox engine, but nuclear thermal. Nuclear thermal could get us 900 seconds specific impulse, which is that's if you had a nuclear thermal rocket that made 1,000 kilonewtons of thrust at 900 seconds specific impulse, and you'd say put that on a Saturn V third stage instead of a J2, yeah, that nuclear engine could probably just straight up get to the moon and circularize there, provided propellant boil off wasn't a thing, and then it probably would have enough to come back to after it deployed the LEM and the CSM. We're looking at a almost twofold efficiency here. Increase with nuclear. That's like the next logical step. That or RDEs, rotating detonators, which, remember, like I said, Raptor is like it's like a blast furnace in there. SpaceX has figured out a way to make this extremely hot and an extremely high pressure, and that's where they get these crazy numbers from. The full flow stage combustion. Yeah, it's pretty insane. That is a pretty crazy piece of equipment. Nuclear RDE. Something about nuclear detonations doesn't sit right with me too much, but anyway. Hey, King Kitten, what's up? An RDE would be way more efficient. Guys, okay, you got to remember. Okay, a little bit on rocket science here. Specific impulse. Let me explain this. It's measured in seconds burn time. Basically, it's how much burn time can you get out of a certain amount of propellant? Okay, so say you had like 1 liter of propellant. How much burn time can you get out of that, right? So the more burn time you can get out of that, the more efficient it is, right? But that's not the only thing that's figured into specific impulse. It's not just how much, it's not how much you can get out of that. It's how fast you can shoot it out the back. How fast does this thing shoot the gas out the back? So what rocket engines generally do is they make a fire. They make a fire in the combustion chamber, okay? And there's a deflagration in there, and basically it heats up gas and shoots it out the bottom at very high speed. That is what a rocket engine does. You can measure the efficiency by the exhaust velocity. Part of it. It's part of the equation, right? So how much of an explosion can you get with this amount of propellant, and how fast can you shoot it out the back? That's what specific impulse basically means. If you could shoot the gas out the back faster, you're more efficient. Most of the time. There are some things here and there. Hey FaZe, what's going on? So like with a detonation wave, and that's what makes it a detonation, the pressure wave that results from the explosion is going way faster than a deflagration wave. So with a detonation, that pressure wave that shoots out is going faster than the speed of sound. Deflagration, or just combustion, is not. It's subsonic. It's a subsonic pressure wave from your explosion. That's what most rocket engines use now. Problem is, it's with, like, okay, so why doesn't every engine use a detonation engine? Well, you got to keep the detonation wave going to shoot this velocity out faster. Believe it or not, guys, at the nozzle exit with a rocket, even now, you're still going subsonic. Yep. Yeah, the only time the propellants in a convergent-divergent rocket engine design go faster than the speed of sound is when they're in the throat, and that's the whole reason why this thing works. See the throat right there? The explosion is made up here. The explosion gets forced through this gap right here. It gets choked off, and it accelerates, right? And then it shoots out the back at high speed. A detonation engine could theoretically make that better, but you wouldn't have a convergent diversion design with detonation. It doesn't work that way. But for the most part, yeah, it's all about how fast you can, how much energy can you make from a certain amount of propellant, and how fast can you shoot that thing out the back. Faster velocity out the back, or exit. Well, it's called exit velocity in rocket science. The faster the exit velocity, the more efficient you are. Now, you know, I said that that Raptor is like a blast furnace. So what does Raptor do? It's a full flow stage combustion cycle. So you have two inlets here, one for oxygen. That's what that hole is for. And then this one right here, that's one for methane. The best way I can describe this, and this is in my own words, I'm not really parroting anybody. And keep in mind, if you're a big nerd about this, this, you know, not exactly what's going on, but it's kind of what's going on. Okay, so this is a plain English way of saying it. I understand what a full flow stage combustion cycle does. Just bear with me here. See this thing right here? So you got like kind of one cylinder here, and then you got another one right here. That's your methane turbine, and this is your oxidizer turbine. And then, like I said, you have your combustion chamber, you have your throat, and you have your nozzle, right? What SpaceX is essentially doing here is this is a jet engine right there. Think like a jet engine like on an airplane, except there's no compressor because you're not sucking in air, you're sucking in liquid. So there's an impeller where your compressor would be. Over here, same thing with methane. What this thing does, this jet engine makes an extremely oxygen-rich exhaust. So it runs very lean. If you notice, this is made out of different metals. You know why? Because when you run lean, you get really hot. Oxygen is not the best at absorbing heat. So this jet engine's exhaust is, they spray a little bit of fuel in there and blow it up a little bit. They get that to spread the oxidizer out. So the exhaust is basically a lot of oxygen going out the back. Okay. This thing over here, that's your methane. That's the methane. This is a methane jet engine. So they spray a little bit of liquid oxygen in here, just a little bit. And this thing runs extremely fuel rich. And it's spraying out a very high volume methane gaseous mixture. So like the exhaust from this jet engine is very high methane content, very low oxidizer. The jet engine right here is producing very high oxygen content, very low methane. But you still need to get an explosion. The idea is that you're spreading out and atomizing your propellants. Okay, so this is gaseous methane coming out of here, and that's gaseous oxidizer coming out of here. If you take those two things and you put them inside of the combustion chamber with a source of ignition, you have what's called an air-to-air engine cycle, right? That's what full flow stage combustion is. You have your gaseous methane meet your gaseous oxygen, and just like gasoline, right? Gasoline is not actually flammable. It's the vapors from gasoline that's very flammable. Don't do this, but you can watch a YouTube video of somebody flicking a match into a puddle of gasoline. Nothing happens. But if you hold the match over the gasoline, it lights the vapors on fire. Why? Because the gasoline's giving off vapors, and that vapor is combining with the oxygen. You're getting great atomization there. That is what a rocket engine does. Rocket engine just takes liquid fuel and oxidizer, tries to find a way to atomize these things, and then blow them up. It's not that far off from what a car engine does, or a jet engine for that matter. So a rocket engine is a methane jet engine and an oxidizer jet engine. The exhaust from this, right? The exhaust from this, from the oxidizer rich engine and the methane rich engine, find their way into the combustion chamber. Because they're both gases, the vapors really lock together really, really well. You introduce a little bit of explosion, you get 300 bar chamber pressure. So inside of here, this is capable of holding 300 bar. That's like 10,000 PSI. Yeah, for everybody else. Yeah, 300 times 15. Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot. Maybe not 10,000. You do the math. That is why in So if you're thinking like, if you know a little bit about jet engines, you're thinking, well, the rocket engine is like your afterburner here. It's working, the rocket engine works like an afterburner. And that's correct. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's a reheat. That's what your rocket engine is, a reheat. But because your rocket engine is your main method of propulsion here, these are called preburners. They're not afterburners, they're preburners. Yep. Does that kind of put it in a perspective of why Raptor is ridiculous? It's two jet engines shooting their exhaust into a rocket engine and then lighting that on fire and shooting that out the back. That's why Raptor is nuts. It's truly ridiculous. That's just, okay. Yep. All right. It's 4,351 PSI. There you go. 4,300 PSI. It's not 10,000. That was a little bit of hyperbole on my part. I'm sorry. It's ridiculous. Yeah, they're called preburners. You have your oxidizer preburner and your methane preburner. Yep. These are two jet engines shooting into a rocket engine. One is oxidizer rich to get the oxidizer to spread out, and the other one is methane rich to get the methane to spread out. And then those gaseous, the vapors combine in the combustion chamber, and that's it. You get a very, very, let's say pissed off explosion. Let's say pissed off. We'll call it pissed off and call it a day. Because remember, the liquid, hey, let's be real. It's hard to light liquids on fire. Think about it. Hard to light liquids on fire. Gasoline is inflammable. The vapors are after they've combined with oxidizer. So with rocket engine, with a lot of early rocket engines, you saw a lot of weird ways for them to try and solve this problem. A better injector plate. Get atomization at the injector plate, right? And then go from there. That works really well, but the key with Raptor is you get your atomization before the injector plate. So, long story short, way more efficient, way higher explosion, more exhaust velocity, more gooder. In terms of, in the words of Jack, 350 second specific impulse, which is bananas. That's pretty damn good. More angrier, gooder explosions. It's probably be a good time to mention that the Soviets figured out full flow stage combustion back in the 60s. No, they did not. They figured out oxidizer-rich stage combustion cycle on the NK-15 and the NK-33. Raptor and the BE-4 are the first full flow stage. Or no, well, even BE-4. BE-4 is oxygen-rich methane. Raptor is the first full flow stage combustion cycle engine ever devised. Yeah, ever. No one's ever done this before. The RD-270. What is this piece of crap? Okay, let me explain. So yeah, okay, yeah. If you want to count that, I wouldn't count that. But you know, stop whining. I wouldn't count that because N2O4 UDMH full flow stage combustion cycle is, you know, I'm not gonna say that that's not impressive, right? But the reason why I said it the way I said it is because we're talking about fully cryogenic engines here. We're talking about fully cryogenic liquid fuel. I had the whole thing about methane, hydrolox, Carolox, including hypergols. Did you guys miss that part? The whole context of this conversation is full flow stage combustion cycle with fully cryogenic liquid propellants. No? So yeah, I guess if you want to be technical, but I would say that Raptor is on a whole nother skill level than this because we're using different propellants here. I mean, if you want to count this, I suppose. Hypergol versus cryo. Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you wanted to count that, I suppose, yeah, I suppose you could, but I'm not just, see, like, you said this would probably be a good time to mention that Soviets figured out full flow stage combustion cycle back in the 60s. I'm not sure what that adds to the conversation, Nova. I mean, I guess a note here. I guess if you want to count it, but I mean, not really. It's very easy to. I'm not gonna say it's very easy. This is pretty damn impressive, but it's not. That's not full cryos. That's hard to do with full cryos. This is a lot easier because when you're in your pre-burners, you can get these to blow up very, very easily from having them touch each other. Now, once again, it's not to undermine the effort here, but to even insinuate for a second that an RD270 is somewhere on the same level of technical expertise as a Raptor is kind of absurd. Why use stage combustion for hypergols? Better atomization. It's called it's better atomization. It's called an air-to-air, or not air-to-air, gas-to-gas combustion cycle. It's the same reason. You're going to get better atomization that way. You got to if you can get your propellants to spread out, they can combine better. They have more room to spread out and find. So your N2O4 in this particular capacity, right? It'll find UDMH and it'll hug it. And if they're spread out, it's much easier for them to find each other and atomize. And when you get atomize, when they atomize, it blows up a lot better. In this particular case, they just find each other and explode because you're using N2O4 and unsymmetrical dimethylhydrazine, right? Why is it so hard to light an SRB in flight? It's not. Who told you that? I'm curious how an explosion of super heavy would, how large of an explosion of super heavy would cause at liftoff. Mike, anybody within a 10-mile radius would be deaf. Let me put it to you like that, and there wouldn't be much pad left. If you, like, characteristic energy, maybe a low-yield nuclear blast, something like the Lebanon explosion. Mike, if you remember that one, dude. Yeah, the Lebanon explosion. Because if you're going to get it to all go up in one shot like that, Mike, it's probably going to end up being a detonation. And I don't show the Lebanon explosion because I don't show death on stream. I have a rule about that. The Lebanon explosion, dude, it would be very bad. It would be very bad. Let's just say, you know, during the Apollo program, there's a reason why they put 39A and 39B 2 and 3 miles respectively away from anyone. The pads are way separated from the launch control center, the press site, and the VAB for very good reason. The pads, believe it or not, dude, think about this for a second here. Noodle on this one. Let's go into Google Earth. Can it even explode in that way? Yeah. Sure. Why wouldn't it? So see these pads? They're a little ways away from where all the people would be, right? The pads have this cordoned off area around them. This is called the inner pad site, or it's called the BDA for short. The blast detonation area. I don't think I need to say why it's called that. Yeah. Because anything inside of here, if the thing pops, you're losing. Let me put it to you like that. All that would be left is the concrete from the pad. If a Saturn V popped. So yeah, they have blast detonation areas for a very good reason, man. That's called the BDA for short. And you need very high security clearance to be inside of a BDA. Not security clearance, but you yeah, I mean, yes, yeah, basically it is. Yes. You need clearance to get inside of one of these things. Or the proper credentials under the right supervision, you know? Yeah. There's a reason why they're 2.5 miles away and 3 miles away, respectively, because there would be a nice big crater right here. If Super Heavy did that, it'd be double that. There's a reason why nothing is near the pads when they go off. Maybe not double that. It would still be bad, though. But anyway. You need to watch footage of this disaster. Nah, I'm all right. Keep going with the space news. So, Cygnus did have some problems, but they fixed it, and Raptor 3 is looking to be a absolute unit. Absolute unit of a vehicle. Let's see, what else do we got? People want me to... Oh, even Tori Bruno commented on Raptor. Yeah, that's right. He left a pretty damn good compliment. What did he say? Like the red team on Artemis. There's a reason why they're called the red team. So what did Tori Bruno say regarding Raptor? They've done an excellent job making the assembly simpler and more producible. So there's no need to exaggerate this by showing a partially assembled engine without controllers, fluid management, or thrust vector control systems, then comparing it to a fully assembled engines that do. Why is Electron so fast? Power to weight, man. Very high thrust to weight with an Electron rocket when you're using a carbon composite core. Yeah, I kind of agree with him, dudes. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend. So they posted that, and if we go back over here and we go to SpaceX, let me just see something. Where's SpaceX talking about the Raptors? So SpaceX posted this at 12:30 on August 3rd. That was on Saturday, okay? Yeah, see? Interesting. Tori Bruno, he must not have seen it, because they definitely posted engine mass and then accoutrement. Accoutrement. They posted this before he said that, which is interesting. I thought they would post it after, which, I mean, guys, it probably means that Tori Bruno hasn't seen this. He didn't see the specs, because they definitely did include that. But I think there's something to say here. He's right. I mean, he's right. The engine is insane. It's already insane. You don't need to hype it up anymore. But then again, it's very clear that people are excited about Raptor. It's awesome. It really is. It's a really, I mean, I just told you why it's insane. It's two jet engines firing their exhaust into a rocket engine. That's not easy to do. It's really not easy to do. I think he's more talking visually. Yeah, I suppose. There's also this. Yeah, their test stand picture that they posted. It's pretty good. Dude, I cannot believe that. Even then, not everything is hooked up, though. See that countersunk thing, that countersunk boss right there? Not everything is hooked up. It's absurd. It still is ridiculous, guys. I mean, look, all your commodities, everything is on, well, not commodities, everything that's not liquid fuel and oxidizer is on here, which is just... Guys, the more bolts that a flange is carrying, the more boom goes through that flange. Let me put it to you like that. Look at how many bolts are on the main combustion chamber. And those are not small bolts either. It's, dude, I could stare at this all day. This is straight mechanical engineering pornography. Like it's pretty bad. Like, is that a grounding wire right there? Like, where's the wire harness? That's what I'm really wondering. Like, I mean, Tori Bruno says there's no wire. Is the wiring tucked away back? Oh my goodness. Unbelievable. How many bolts do you want? Yes. I'm wondering what these flangers are for right there. I'm wondering what those do. They're definitely caps, but I'm not sure what they're capped for. It looks like this. No, the bolt pattern is different. I'm wondering what those are. I've seen those, but I don't know. Maybe they're access points. Who knows? Maintenance, yeah. It doesn't look like this is just a cap that you wouldn't see. That looks like flight hardware. Like, if there was a cap, it would just be a piece of plastic over this or something, right? Those look like those down there. Whatever's housing that, I don't know. I mean, Raptor's truly insane. Like, it's amazing. It's an amazing piece of equipment. It's super clean, dude. Very sleek. Anyway, I mean, Tori Bruno, they've done an excellent job making the assembly simpler and more producible, so there's no need to exaggerate this by showing a partially assembled engine without controllers, fluid management, or thrust vector control systems. I mean, that's in response to this. Interesting. I think Tori Bruno wrote that, guys. I think the context for that is that people keep comparing Raptor 3 to B4, and it's not the same. It's really not. It really isn't. The reason why is the BE4 is taking a completely different development path, dude. It's a completely different development path. It's not. They're not mass produced. I mean, they are, but they're. Even if you could argue that Blue Origin is trying to mass produce BE4s at this point, which I mean, I think that it'd be fair to make that argument. I really think that they're not nearly as far along as SpaceX is. And now that's the point that should be made, right? Right. I think that's an interesting point. But you're comparing different stages of development to each other, for real. Like, if you look at the early shuttle engines versus the Block 2 SSME, that's even the same family of engines. You can't compare those. The original DFI and OFI, or the original DFI, like RS-25 engines, are heavily instrumented. They look like a freaking rat's nest. I mean, to be fair, the RS-25 is very complicated. It still looks like a rat's nest, but it's not as bad of a rat's nest. Any news on what happened on Cygnus with the systems glitch? Whatever it is, Borg, they fixed it, and it's scheduled to dock on time. It seems like it was a control systems issue. I mean, BE4 and Raptor are brothers from another mother. They were born from the integrated powerhead demo. I know, so? So what? And a Camaro and a Mustang both have V8s. Does that mean, like, they both have, well, they both had pushrod V8s at some point? Does that mean they're similar, they're the same design? Like, I mean, even pushrod V8s, a pushrod V8 design comes from the early 50s, right? I don't think it's right to compare B4 to Raptor, and anybody that does not understand what either one of those engines do and the context for which they were made. It's really important to understand this. Yeah, they're the same thing, bro. Kappa. Yeah, Forge. Exactly what you're doing is what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's... The Mustang will break first, though. Nice. You've succeeded in making yourself look stupid. In the chat, I'm proud of it.
Go and throttle up.
Good job. Here, take the L for effort. We could do some comparing, like saying Raptor is further in development. I know, because that's what I did, Jack, like less than 5 minutes ago. Are there plans to do more KSP today? Nope. Jim Boy, I'll probably pick it up same time tomorrow. Okay. Let's see. There's a sweet shot that Peter Beck posted from the Owl for One for Owl mission. You guys will appreciate that, I think. $3:30 a.m. on tomorrow morning, Drunken Morgue. Is the throw diameter in Raptor 3 smaller, or is it just an illusion? I mean, maybe they made some tweaks here and there, dude. Yeah, it's possible. I'm sure there was some iteration there between the different versions. But it just looks like it's just cleaned up a lot, that's all. What is your schedule for the rest of tonight, tomorrow? Regular schedule, 12 to 10, Kerbal, Space News, and then something else. Is the designer not the same one as the Merlin? No, Tom Mueller had some input on Raptor Elisers, but he didn't design it. Tom Mueller was the guy that designed the Draco engine, Merlin engine, the Merlin vacuum engine, and the Kestrel engine. And then, once again, he had a lot of input on Raptor. But yeah, he's off doing his own thing with Impulse. But he did have some say in it. Maybe, Bill. Maybe. I mean, let's get the caliper out and measure it. They will not let us do that. But you know, are they able to reuse initial components from the initial Raptors on the new ones? No. Maybe some parts? Maybe some things or something? I would say we got a lot of part incompatibility from here to here. The bolts, maybe, yeah. And maybe the combustion chamber assembly? Maybe? Did they use T-Tab to reignite for boost back re-entry and landing? On Falcon 9 Elisers? Sure, yeah. With Raptor and Starship, no. They have a way of igniting it that's not that. Complimenting that Tory comment, most engines on Starship don't have thrust vector control, so I think he got a bit ahead of himself. Hells, I can't speak for Tory Bruno. I think he's just sick of people bad-mouthing ULA for no reason, and I kind of am with him. He's been getting a lot of crap because ULA changed its photography policy to only let editorial and educational content take pictures inside of the pad or do remote setup. They want it for they don't want they really don't want people selling the photos that they take. They don't want like private photography. They want educational and editorial people, just because there's the way ULA does things, they really only have a certain amount of people that they can bring into the pad. They'd let me in. I don't know. The reason why is my guess is that the reason why is because there's ULA has probably had a couple of incidents. Not incidents. They've probably had a couple of... There's a fucking ant on my light. Go away. They've probably had a couple of incidents where, like, schools and magazines and editorials were trying to get pictures and they couldn't because, you know, Joe Schmo with 500 followers on Instagram, you know, got in to the blast detonation area, you know? EJ hasn't been to a pad since 2018. Sure. They don't want a police who can and can't make a living selling photos since so many people want to be launch photographers. Yep, exactly. So they basically saved it for just editorial purposes only. Editorial and educational, which is cool. I mean, I personally don't have a problem with that. Sorry, there's this bug that's just crawling around in my peripheral on my light. I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna crush him with the sun. Titan's food for him. There we go. Dead. What do you mean? That was Parker Solar Probe. You haven't been up close to a rocket since then, have you? Why is that even relevant? I don't understand. And they spend quite a lot of time putting cameras down as well, he said. Hazigan, do you think that... I was going to say, do you think that somebody abused the privilege? Bug. Think someone abused the privilege? You think someone abused the privilege and got sick of it and said, get the frick out of here? Because ULA is very much in the past traditionally been very open about this stuff, except when it comes to national security missions. Fact is, there's some strict photography rules on how and what to film and not film. I know. Very familiar with those. ULA chose to enforce them. SpaceX doesn't. It's a mix between photographer being kind of entitled and ULA being weird for enforcing photography rules. Kind of due to the limited resources to make and process the accreditation papers and verify the remote cam setup before every launch. It sounds like, yeah, it sounds like they're just getting sick of it because of the high cadence of launch. They just don't want to do it every time, which, let's be real, you're not going to get remote camera setups for every damn Starlink launch. Just saying. One guy did something bad, I don't think it's a reason to punish everybody. Exactly, Thor, and I'm pretty sure ULA operates under the same modus operandi there. I'm pretty sure it started to become a real big pain in the butt. But who knows? I think people just got very upset about not getting on the list. Yeah. I mean, if you want popcorn, we can go into that thread. It really doesn't have much to do with space. Like, any workers today? I might play a little bit later. Yeah. Been asked about our photo policy. This applies to the media that we allow inside the fence and onto our pad. We prefer to reserve this very limited and privileged access for educational and editorial purposes rather than for personal business use. I mean, dude, my hat's off to this guy being so damn transparent about this. It doesn't make sense. Literally, that's the most efficient way to sell your rocket, and it's free. Pad cannot hold everyone who wants access. It is both inconvenient and expensive for us to accommodate remote camera setup during a launch campaign. Choosing the educational and editorial users, far easier for us not to allow anyone inside of the fence. but you can choose your invites. Why this strange contract? You can cherry pick any content maker you like. We can. Others do. But rather than pick a select set of favorites, we try to apply broad criteria. Okay, fair enough. It's good to see that that ULA tries to have a level playing field. Maybe leniency for small content makers is possible. It would help them grow a little bit and share in the starting years, not for resale, obviously. We continue to allow new media, many of whom are small content makers, onto the pad. There you go. There you go. I mean, that's pretty straightforward to me, guys. That doesn't seem... Everybody seems to be really pissed off about this. Am I missing something? So Max says, respectfully, I don't think you have an appreciation of the cost that many of these photographers are incurring to be able to do this. Traveling, staying, sometimes weeks, using thousands of dollars of equipment in conditions that will likely destroy them. It's not financially viable. Nor do you appreciate how much we spend to accommodate this on every launch, nor how restrictive our other providers are. Damn. Dude, that's what I mean. Tori Bruno ain't dude, he don't play it. He's pissed. Well, I'm not pissed. He's just like, all right, I'm so
Discovery, go at throttle.
You know, you say whatever you want. I like that guy. Snarkle 2, 3-month resub, and then Viper KTV had a 4-monther before that. Dude, I kind of appreciate it. He's very straightforward. The art of being blunt. It has been long. Pretty straightforward stuff.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Why are you here? Holy crap. Holy crap. Bro, why are you here? I want to have beers with Tori Bruno. That would be awesome. Oh, time. Like, how is that relevant? It's the CEO. He's fighting on the Twitter front lines. I love it. It's pretty funny, man. Correct me if I'm wrong, but SpaceX does not accommodate this except for on high-profile launches. Yeah, exactly, Wisp. Once again, I don't really... Okay, unless somebody... Please, someone educate me with this. I know what to take pictures of and what not to take pictures of. But if people are pissed off about this, I genuinely don't understand. It seems like ULA is just limiting the amount of people onto the pad. Like, they're just limiting the amount of people onto the pad for educational editorial purposes. And they're trying to keep it random. So they'll still allow people onto the pad, but just not as much. And they don't want you to make money off of it because that's their way of leveling the playing field. Am I missing this? Am I missing something here? Who's Tony? Owned. Owned. Guys, please, if I'm missing something here, let me know. I'm curious. Like, I know that people freaked out about this. I mean, I'm not missing anything. I understand your point, but in this way, you're making the job of many talented photographers unsustainable. This is only going to backfire in photography in the space community. Nobody else does this. It's completely uncalled for. You might want to check what others do. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, am I missing something? You missed something. It directly impacts some content creators' bottom line. So some people will get loud over that. Being loud about something doesn't automatically make you right, and that's on full display here. I don't see any launch photographers in this thread, though, Hank. But yeah, I get it. That makes sense. Yeah, I can see how, you know, if... Yeah, I can see how if you miss, like... Okay, so, like, simultaneously, like, let me put it to you this way. Say ABC News wants to take a picture of a high-profile launch, right? For editorial purposes. And the list of pad remotes gets taken up by launch photographers, and not to downplay the launch photographers, right? Now, you know, say that, you know, somebody with, I don't know, let's say like 10,000 followers on Instagram, right? Now, don't get me wrong, I'm kind of still in favor of the launch photographers, but you're obviously going to want ABC News to show your rocket launch, right? Like, kind of makes sense. You say whatever you want about news. The news have pretty far-reaching stuff here. Like, once again, I'm not trying to be a jerk to the launch photographers, dude, because I show a lot of launch photographers pictures, and I want you guys to see them too. I do believe in what they do very much. I'm just trying to think about why you would do something like this. It very much seems like they don't want to show preference for. They don't want to show preference, and they're trying to equalize the playing field by making none of this for profit, so people who don't make money off of this can go in there. But simultaneously, you're screwing the people that do. Not to be insensitive, but photographers claiming that they don't make profit after all the expenses, why are you calling it a job in the first place? I don't know. It's notable, though, that major news agencies would prefer to buy photos from freelance photographers. Good point. From a purely business standpoint, I'd understand why private photographers feel they need ULA to spend money and resources to enable their photography business. Interesting. Just get a bigger lens. Yeah, I love our launch photographers and I love what they do. I don't like. I mean, I could see how that might mess up your bottom line, but I guess my question comes down to it. It's on a case-to-case basis. Do you actually make money off of this? Like, fellas, I decided to not go to launches, not try to fly down to every single rocket launch years ago and just cover it on the internet. You know why? Because you don't make money off that. I'm serious. You do not make money off of that. Even if we went down there and live streamed it. I mean, even Das, he did the same thing. Remember when he used to go down there and stream these launches? It doesn't make, unless you're a news organization like NSF, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Seriously, I ended up losing money. A lot, actually. I got to see a rocket launch, which is great. And that's my plight, dude. I want to see every single rocket launch, but going down there, it's just, you're not going to take a rocket launch when you're there and turn it into a 10-hour long format content, which is what this channel is known for. You know what I mean? So unless I can find a way to switch right back to playing Kerbal or keep the commentary going or do long format, it's really difficult to do it. Now, with that being said, I wouldn't be against going down and covering some launches down there for NSF because, you know, that's the way to do it, right? But heck, a lot of the photos aren't even from the pad, like Ben's today. Yep. Live there, problem solved. That's out of my control at this moment in time, Spaceman. Streamer van. You know how much gas it costs to get the streamer van down there? I mean, road tripping to the launch. I thought about that. It would have to be a really high-profile launch, though. Like Starship or something. Prepare the Ernok! I just really want to see Tori hand out all these L's. Do you pay photographers for educational and editorial work? No, they are media. then the effect of the policy is to get less of what you claim to want. It's your choice to enforce whatever restrictions y'all want, guys. Guys, it's not like it's not like getting onto a pad's blast detonation area is some like it's not like there's some bouncer waiting at the gate that goes, "You're allowed. Open up the gate. You're allowed in. You're allowed in." And the counter, like, I'd like to remind everybody that inside of these pads, you need top secret, well, not top secret, you need a security clearance to get inside of these. So letting just 20 randoms just go snoop around the pad. I've been part of photography, the pad remote setup. I've done that before. You just go snoop around the pad. I mean, there are certain places you can't go, and that's what I'm wondering. If somebody tried to get a camera shot that they didn't like too many times and they said, "Screw this, we're doing this now." I'm wondering if that happened, right? But in general, like, you really don't want anyone screwing around inside of the BDA. Like, I understand that. Not to say that that happened. I mean, I'm saying that as a plausible scenario. But everybody here talks about, like, you know, why don't you just let everybody into the BDA? Are you freaking nuts? Like, I'm super pro launch photographer in this regard, but no. If it was me, I would know. You could take photos outside of the fence. No. I could see why they would be like, no, 20 people, we choose. Or 20 people chose at random, right? Like, educational editorial only. You know what I mean? Yeah, I
Discovery,
I
go and
can
throttle up.
I empathize with the photographers, but I very much understand not wanting people inside of the BDA at all. That shouldn't be there. You're just you're asking for trouble, and I don't think it's that big of a problem. I mean, clearly it costs ULA some cash to do, right? But also at the same time, ULA is going to be ramping up their launch cadence, big time. They're going to be ramping up their launch cadence. SpaceX ramped up their launch cadence. So they don't let people set up remotes for Starlink. They don't let people set up remotes for most of their launches, just some high profile ones here and there. I'm failing to understand the difference here. I mean, SpaceX do let people set up remotes inside of the BDA, and they really don't care. So I guess that's the part where people are making a big deal out of it. But SpaceX only lets a certain amount of people inside of the BDA too, from what I understand. It's not private property, Finn. It's government property. ULA doesn't own the pad. They lease it. It's Uncle Sam's. What is a high-profile launch? So like a launch with crew, with people on board brand, as opposed to just launching a small satellite or something like Starlink. Starlinks are very low profile because they happen all the time. SpaceX ain't gonna have 20 launch photographers out there every like 4 or 5 times a week because of their launch cadence to go set up remotes and come back. Dude, that's a big pain in the butt. It's gonna hamper your operations. And it sounds like ULA is kind of doing the same thing, and it seems like ULA is doing it to try and level the playing field. So ULA said, you know, you guys can come here for most of our launches, but we want it for educational and editorial work only, but doesn't mean you can't take pictures of it. You know, it's just pictures inside of the BDA. I think they did that to try and level the playing field. So people could still get B-roll footage, but you can't profit off of it. I'm not gonna lie, that sounds a little weird, but I do understand why they did it. I mean, guys, if it was honestly, if it was up to me, I'd be like, here, I'd put like a grandstand outside of the BDA, like a photography stand, and you guys can put your remotes there. You know, putting them inside of the BDA is pretty crazy. Imagine a day that crew launch isn't considered high profile. We are rapidly approaching that point. Interesting. I mean, but, you know, yeah. What is the downside of the previous policy? That's actually a good question. There's a limited number of people we can allow into the pad itself. Why not run it like a lottery system? He didn't reply. Appreciate the explanation, but it shouldn't have taken this long, and ultimately... it's a swing and a miss. I hope eventually you'll change your mind. Perhaps when few to anyone are covering your launches, you have enough competition without doing silly things like this. Believe it or not, while I try very hard to make time to interact with people here as often as possible, sometimes I get busy for a few days at a time. I'm here for this. This is pretty funny. Oh, man. Imagine getting slam dunked by the CEO of the second biggest rocket company in the freaking United States. Oh, shoot. That's awesome. Blink twice if you're being held hostage by Blue Origin. Very funny. I'm not sizing up to be a good partnership. Heck yeah. I guess your photo policy is worse than your rockets then. Why are you in my thread? Oh. Why are you in my thread? Get out. Oh, I'm using that. Can I use that, guys? When someone comes in here and is a jerk, why are you in my stream? Get out of here. It's my stream. I'm sorry. I'm kind of like, okay, I guess if you want to do that, it's your company, right? It sucks. Some photographers get totally wrecked from this, but seeing Tori Bruno hand out L's left and right is pretty awesome. That makes me pretty happy. Why are you in my chat? Go away. Oh, the next guy. Eat Poop Tony. Who's Tony? His name's Tori. He's probably gonna... What? What? Fluffy boy. Why are you on my monitor? Get the frick... Quit! Get the frick off my obstacle course! Get the frick off my obstacle! I will motivate you, Private Pile, whatever the cost! The fluffy boy reaction. Oh my God. That's so good, dude. This thread is awesome. It makes me so happy. I don't know why. I don't know why. I kind of agree it'd be cool, to have everybody in there, but I understand why they don't. But also, you kind of screwing some people that take a lot of time and effort to take these pictures, but also it's your pad. You can do whatever the heck you want. But also, this thread is amazing, dude. Oh, this is excellent. I could watch this all day. Fluffy boy has me in tears. That was Jim. Jim weighed in down here. Yeah, good buddy of mine. Yeah, actually, you probably... The reaction. Oh my God. That's so good. Yeah, here. Jim's good people. He was the director of public affairs for the Space Force, for the 45th Space Wing. Jim's good people. He's helped me out a lot in the past with access to things. All right. Resharing this long thread. I'm a former Cape Canaveral chief of media relations, and there is and always has been a strict guidance with restriction who can go. Traditional media only traditional media was allowed. Then several years back, web and electronic media were added, followed more recently by the addition of individuals who always sell or provide their work to various media educational outlets. Individuals with media education ties had to provide who it was going to and the size of their audience. This is not to say that they couldn't sell their pics ever. But their main reason for being out there was primarily just to take photos and provide it to the media and educational outlets. And often ones picked were because they had the largest audience reach, whether traditional or electronic, which is why they are allowed out there. This is not a new thing or a ULA thing. Most launch companies do the same thing. And at the end of the day, between safety restrictions and security, both ULA and either the Space Force or NASA safety teams, only a small number are allowed on the actual pad at a time. And this is the important part. This policy is just for setting the actual remotes on the launch pad. So more other photographers will still be able to shoot the launch at the Cape media viewing areas. This is also something our launch companies, the Space Force, and NASA media relations teams have been discussing for the past few years. There have also been some launch companies hinting at just totally banning all pad remotes. See what I mean? I think you all know me as one of the launch media's biggest advocates and supporters. And I personally know Tori and his ULA Comms Communications Media Relations team, and I can honestly say that they are one of the companies who care more about the media than anyone. They are not trying to intentionally hurt or break smaller photographers or media groups who should still be allowed to shoot at the Cape Media site. Sorry to go on so long, but I just wanted to defend ULA. And Tori says, accurate. Thanks, Jim. I wanted to defend ULA and reiterate that at this point, this is not just a ULA thing and actually not a new thing out of the blue. Hopefully this helps answers your questions and situations. Yep. There you go. Yeah, and Matt, actually, Jim and Matt are talking here. I don't know Matt Haskell personally. But he was a launch photographer that actually got a job working for NASA, which is actually pretty cool. What would be done logistically and administratively to increase pad access? Earlier set times, transportation upgrades. It is in everyone's interest to showcase space launch positively and often. Like many things, if positive stories aren't told, negative disinformation dominates. That's a good point. None of the above. Launch pads are small operational areas, as you know. Disrupting these operations, which are often the day of or 24 hours prior to launch with multiple busloads of people for publicity purposes, is not something that's conducive to launch timelines. Bingo. Bingo. Hey, Matt. True again. Matt, again, this is not the media launch viewing area, which is not affected, just the actual launch pad. We're very few photographers. It has always been a small amount of launch companies that are allowed to set up remotes. Yep, the biggest thing I learned when I left space media and went onto the space career field. I used to complain all the time about the lack of access to certain things, but once I was on the other side, it completely made sense. We would have just been in the way 90% of the time. I'm kind of with him on that one. But also, Matt, if you don't mind, I have some questions about this. Like, when they say inside the pad, they mean inside of the BDA, right? That's what's going on here? The detonation area fence. I wonder it'd be more cost effective for launch companies to do their own pad remote shots for release. They do. What do you think Ben Cooper is for? Inside the pad is inside the gates of 41. Anything on the other side, if permitted, is fair game. Yeah, I got you. Okay, so it's inside of the detonation of the BDA. Got it. Um, so interesting. I don't know, but he's the Cape. He works in the media relations for the Cape and Kennedy Space Center, dude. So I guess, man, I'm really failing to understand. It was a small collection of people. Like, how many people were going to set up for remotes as of late? Like, how many people were at CFT1 remote setup? They've always said it was always a limited amount of people. So the only difference between then and now is that you can't sell the photos. Is that it? I'm just trying to hone in because I mean it kind of sucks, but also like I kind of get it, but also trade-offs. I'm trying to understand the pros and cons here. Green screen moved. It's the fan blowing on it, dude. Maybe 20 to 30 at the most, depending on the mission. Bigger scale things like Vulcan had multiple bus loads. But the usual mission is only a single bus worth, if that. Okay, so Matt, I'm gonna ask the stinger question, dude. You gotta give me the benefit of the doubt that I am coming from a place of complete unbiased here. I'm not a launch photographer, but I know a lot of you guys, so just bear with me here. You think ULA got sick of bus loading like that? You think they got sick of all the people that show up for all the big stuff, all the high profile launches? You know, I can understand not wanting multiple busloads of people inside an area where you need a security clearance. It's a little crazy. Do you think someone was disruptive or anything like that? Not to say that you guys are. I know the vast majority of you guys. Like I'm very familiar with a lot of launch photographers. They're a lot of good buddies of mine. I'm just trying to ask questions to gain and understand, like, why would you do this? The only thing I can really think of is that ULA is going to up their launch cadence. They're looking to up their launch cadence, and they're setting expectations for the elevated launch cadence. Right? Doesn't seem like that much. Yeah, but you got to be very careful, Dime. One person setting up a camera in the wrong spot could mess something up. Like, I can very much understand that. No, from our understanding, it's that they are tired of the folks who only go out and don't shoot for an outlet in only their own personal usage, which is all well and fair and totally understandable. From our understanding, it's that they are tired of the folks who only go out and don't shoot for an outlet and only for their own personal usage, which is all well and fair. Interesting. So Matt, like, that's what I'm saying. It must have been something. There must have been a point where somebody was just like, "Frick this," you know what I mean? Like, there must have been something. Either that, or once again, they're setting expectations for their higher launch cadence. That's the only two things that I can kind of think of. But the problem is they want to limit our personal work usage after the fact. I don't agree with that. Oh. Sure, they grant us the access, but at the same time, we invest all this time and energy and setup on a rushed timeline. We're getting screwed on our time spent because of a lot of us don't get paid to do this. Yeah, okay, I got you. When you say limit your personal work usage after the fact, Does that mean like any remotes that you've taken in the past? Like if you took a picture of WGS9, which was a ULA launch from a long time ago, like you're not allowed to sell that. It's the clause is in retrospect too. Anything prior to this agreement is fair game as far as we've been told. Okay, all right, cool. Cool. Interesting. Matt, somebody must have said something. And it only pertains to any imagery captured inside of the gates. Yeah, we've been able to surmise that. Yeah, interesting. I'm just trying to figure out why. Why would you do this? Why would you do this way? The way I read that is that if they want to say if you take a shot for an outlet, yeah, you have to be affiliated with news, with some type of news outlet. Yeah, that's basically it. They don't want personal photography. The only things that I can think of in my mind is that somebody from a big media organization tried to get in on a remote event and couldn't because there were too many personal photographers. That's the only thing. Either that or somebody did something dumb. You can't further sell it freelance. You didn't read the whole message. I did. I did read it, but I can't. Mouth don't work fast. Interesting, Matt. Yeah, no, I'm just trying to, I don't, they're saying not all PR is positive. It's just, I'm genuinely trying to wonder why. Like, Matt, I'll be honest with you. I don't have a horse in this race. Like, I'm not a launch photographer. I don't know. And I understand that lenses are expensive and it takes a lot to get down to the Cape all the freaking time. I understand that. Like, I'm trying to understand why. Like, the only thing I can think of, dude, the only thing I can think of is that somebody from the mainstream media got denied a position and they complained about it enough that ULA implemented this policy. Either that or, once again, somebody did something dumb on the pad and took a picture where they shouldn't have. But if that's the case, they're not going to say which picture it is because that's ITAR in a nutshell. You don't know what ITAR is until you've broken it. You know what I mean? They don't say, you know, like, because they don't want you knowing exactly what it is, right? Like, so those are the only two things that I can really kind of think of. Like, they wouldn't do this willy-nilly. Like, Tori Bruno doesn't seem that like that kind of guy. Letting in any rando with a GoPro seems like a bad idea. Yeah, exactly, right? Like, I don't do this for profit, but having an avenue to try and recoup some cost is welcome. A lot of us lost a ton of gear at Vulcan as an example. Yeah, this policy is kneecapping a lot of folks who do this from being able to make it sustainable. Yeah, EVX, exactly. I'm very, very careful with this kind of stuff. Very careful. This is not something to screw around with. Oh, nice, girl. Neat. No, Forge. ITAR sucks. No, it doesn't. I understand why it exists. It's a pretty damn good reason why it exists. I don't think it sucks at all. I understand that. But I've been running this line for years, guys. You can explain the concepts of rocket science without getting into any technical details or pictures. I've been doing it for a decade. Never had a problem. There's a really good reason for this, because I'm very careful about this. If this seems like something that you really don't see or hear about too much, then you probably shouldn't be talking about it. It's pretty much, I exercise extreme judgment in this case because, yeah, they will get mad. They will get mad. Believe me. You know, they showed up at a YouTuber's house for building a rocket engine once. You guys remember that? They failed to acknowledge the big outlets that paywall have subscribers like Florida Today. Interesting. Yeah, interesting look. Interesting, Matt. Interesting. Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, Matt, my thing is, and this is just another question, I'm just probing for information here. How many times do you do remote setup for SpaceX missions? Like, it's only the high profile stuff, like the SpaceX NASA stuff, like crew flights or Falcon Heavy or something, right? Time for a Discord call. No, I'm good. I'm good, man. Could very well be a deeper security issue. For example, and I stress this as an example, a random remote that could be set up by, yeah, somebody that shouldn't be there. Yeah, I got you. Crew, Falcon Heavy, commercial missions occasionally, not often. That's because they're so saturated with Starlink. Matt, do you think, I'm trying to be unbiased here, trying just to figure out what's going on. Do you think because they're going to ramp up in launch cadence that they want to be they don't want any surprises from something like this? I mean, don't get me wrong. I still think it's kind of messed up, but at the end of the day, it's their pad. They can do whatever they want. Kind of sucks, for sure. Once again, I'm just probing. I'm just trying to figure stuff out. Because I understand what you should and shouldn't take pictures of, but I don't understand the intricacies to setting up remotes. I mean, I've done it before, but only once. No, I don't think that's the reason. If anything, it sounds like they want more coverage, which is in direct opposition to what this agreement is imposing. Welcome to the twilight zone of confusion you've all been in. Fair. Yeah. I will admit, though, Matt, watching Tori Bruno hand out L's in that thread about the photos is pretty awesome. People are like telling him to eat crap, and he's like, "Why are you in my thread? Get out of my thread." It's some real pretty Chad tier stuff. I'm not gonna lie to you. Shaw, do a lot of photographers set up inside of the gates? Yes. The thing is that, dude, you can set up outside the gates if you really want to. And you can tape it or take pictures from the media sites, but the pad is really what gets you the money shot. That's what gets you the shot that if you're going to make profit off of, that's the one that you'll make profit off. Yeah, like if you're gonna make money off anything, it's gonna be a pad shot. Shout out to Fluffy Boy. That was pretty funny. Yeah, Matt, for sure. Yep. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, man. I don't know, because, like, you know, once again, this doesn't seem right. ULA has been super cool about this. They always have been super cool about this. I'm wondering what triggered this. Like, that's kind of what I'm trying to think. Like, there's no doubt that you guys are getting kind of left in the dark, and that kind of sucks. You know, I can empathize very much. You know, I was in contact with a spaceflight entity, and we lost all contact from them and still haven't figured out what happened. I can empathize. That's not fun being left in the dark. It's really uncool, actually. I can tell you what the impetus most likely was. Please. Time to park an unmanned barge off the coast to get pictures. Yep. Gee, EJ, whatever do you mean? I don't know. Conan, how long do you think it will take for private missions to the lunar surface to take place? We've already got Polaris Dawn and low Earth orbit coming soon. How long do we get billionaires on the moon? 10 years? At this rate? We keep going at this rate? 10 years. Left in the dark, and it was high noon! That's right! Ridiculous! At Starliner's second remote pickup, we lost one of our own to a heart attack. I won't say much more to that because it's not my place, but that is very likely what got the lawyers looking at everything. Oh. Did he while he was setting up John, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Yeah, rest in peace, man. That sucks. No, it was after everyone got back on the buses. We had just finished. Oh. Yeah. We were going to leave, and then the crap hit the... That's... Yep, there you go. There you go. That's absolutely what did it, dude. That is absolutely what happened. And that sucks. That sucks that it ended up like that. I remember that. Yeah. Yeah, that would definitely do it. If you were a lawyer, right? You were a lawyer and you were looking at this, you'd be like, hell no. Why are we letting people inside of the security clearance? Frick that. Liability. It's always liability. But yeah, I mean, getting emergency medical personnel to the pad and stuff. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that could, yep. There you go. There you go. That sucks. That sucks. For the photographer, for the guy. I know who you're talking about. I don't... Oh, here's something coming from Talk of Titusville here. Whoa. Oh. Guys, there's not a lot of EMS out on the Cape. It's very remote. If you've ever been out there, if you haven't, those pads, it doesn't look like they're far away from Google Earth, like from anything. They're very far away from everything. There's not much out there. There's just electrical lines for the pads, and that's it. They're out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, there's not a fire station out there, for instance. There's not a paramedic out there. Why would there be? You're not supposed to have people there. Oh. Not only getting fire and medical to the pad, but many operations require fire and medical on standby, and when something like this happens, it messes with pad operations. Yep. Yep. Okay. There's your answer. That's pretty conclusive as to why they're doing this. But they can't say that. They can't say that. They can't just say that. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. See, that was the piece of information that I'm missing. That I was missing. They can't say, like, you know, yeah, our EMS sucks. You know, like that. Yeah. Yeah. They can't say that. They're not going to say that publicly, nor should they be like, yeah, we had, you know, medical complications, right? Inside of a pad perimeter from you know, some of the press. That's, you know, ULA, they took the high road there. They very clearly took the high road, which they normally do. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. They're very classy. They could have been like, well, you know, this happened and this happened. It's so stupid, right? Like, no, they took the high road. I get needing a written agreement after all that, but changing how things fundamentally have always worked completely unrelated to that event is what's thrown us all off. Perhaps editorial and educational. It's easier to contact the entity that the photographer is associated with. You know what I'm saying? If you're media, right? And you have, you know, other people working in the area, it might be easier to figure stuff out. And then claiming this language has always been conveyed verbally before. Yeah. Yeah, what a mess, dude. What a freaking mess. That sucks. Never thought of it that way. Yeah, it's fair. I mean, I'm putting out ideas. Like, I'm trying to think about it. Like, dude, the way I think about this is like, and this is very much spacecraft, like, a lot. This is why there's, like, you know, I'm sure you guys have seen that famous picture of a politician putting his hand on a thing that says, don't touch it, don't screw with it. Because a lot of this is maintaining the continuity of, like, a spacecraft. Like, you have to log every single thing that you do with a spacecraft. And pads, facilities, horizontal integration facilities, launchers, they're all the same. You do not touch anything. Don't touch anything unless you really should. Like that, like, obviously, like, I don't need to say this. Like, what I'm getting at is that once you have a disruption of this, yeah, it gets a lot harder to launch things. You know? Like, I can very much understand that, you know, especially making those freaking pads in Kerbal all that time. Like, all it takes is 1 second of me blinking and looking at chat and missing a step, and the whole thing blows up in my face. Now, it's not like Kerbal, everything's going to blow up in your face randomly, but it's almost like Kerbal where things are going to blow up in your face randomly if you don't know what you're doing. You know? I get it. And everyone who knows, thank you, John. Well respected. The guy would miss him a ton. Whenever there's a scrub, he'd say, I hate rockets. If it flew, I love rockets. Yeah. Well, I think we got some pretty damn good context here. Matt, thank you very much for helping us out. I was very confused. And Tori Bruno going out and saying what he said and handing out L's left and right makes a lot more sense now. But, see, that's the thing. He ain't going to say the reason why. He knows, but I'm pretty damn sure from what I've seen from that guy's character, he wouldn't do that. So, it kind of made this whole thing kind of made me respect him a lot more for sticking his neck out like that. The guy believes in accountability, and guys, I very, 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 very much gravitate to stuff like that. Space puns. Yeah, Hellfish, for sure. For sure. I mean, I'll be 100% real, like, and this is just my personal opinion. The fact that they're still letting people in after this is kind of insane. Because you know somebody, a lawyer, was like, no more. And they're like, no, we can't do that. Legal has him and ULA's PR team in a chokehold, which I get. Yeah, it sucks, dude. They can't, they wouldn't, dude, I don't even think you're very much not wrong, but I don't even think if they could say what's going on, they would. It's very disrespectful. Tori Bruno doesn't strike me as that kind of dude. He's a very classy individual. I really respect that guy a lot. That's why I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean? What's this about? Photography access for ULA launches, say. They can't say because of the possible legal issues over why. Yeah, Hellfish, I understand that. That's what Matt just said. I still think that even if they could, they still wouldn't. That's just not classy. They don't do that. Tori Bruno don't work like that, dude. I've been basically listening and reading every editorial he's ever done since 2014, since he became the CEO of ULA. I didn't know anything about him before that. You know, he just doesn't seem like that type of dude. He's not petty like other people in the space flight industry. Oh, sorry. Jeez, I don't know why that came up. That was weird. Yeah, Matt, for sure.
Discovery,
Hey, Scott,
go and
45-month
throttle up.
resub. What's good, man? Everything's A-okay, dude. Just doing some space news, doing my thing. This way because his predecessor got absolutely roasted. Helfus, I genuinely think Tori's a good dude. And I really don't have a problem with how, dude, that guy's, dude, because of that, right? He inherited a flaming dumpster fire, and he's turned ULA around into a pretty damn exceptional rocket company, if I do say so myself. That he's a Lockheed engineer. He's an engineer through and through. That guy is the nerdiest of the nerds, for sure. He's up there. Dude, he worked at Skunkworks, all right? He's not an idiot, right? Like, come on. he worked at Skunkworks, man. It's pretty. They don't just let anybody in there, you know what I mean? Skunkworks, like the entity, Lockheed's entity that made the SR-71 and the U-2 and the F-117, like, that's Skunkworks. Like, yeah, he worked there. He's pretty good. He's a pretty good dude. He said it from the projects that he's worked on in the past, Grab, when he talks about it on Twitter. Yeah. Dude, he's worked on everything. He worked on THAAD. You know how ridiculous THAAD is? THAAD is an ABM technology, kind of like Iron Dome, but better. It's like a more crazy Patriot missile. He was like frankly, I don't know what he did on that program, but THAAD is nuts. THAAD. It's ridiculous. Yeah, exactly. I went to high school 5 minutes away from the Skunkworks. Bombdale. One of my favorite parts of the country, Scott. Yeah, he worked on Venture Star, guys. Yeah, he worked on Venture Star. Alan Farmer worked on Venture Star. Guy has my utmost respect. Bombdale High Class of 95. My guy, dude. My guy. Seriously, the high desert around Edwards and Palmdale's one of my favorite parts of the country. It's beautiful. I love the high desert. I love it. Love it. Speaking of, did you catch the link someone posted above? The fastest hospital route? Or I'm confused. I was going to mention this earlier. Another reason many of us are passionately against the no monetization in this case is this is because 41 is an unfriendly pad. When Vulcan literally tossed an entire line of cameras 50 to 60 feet across the pavement and they were anchored in a spot that is safe for even a 551. Yeah. Yep. I don't remember who. Oh, yeah. The Titusville link. Yeah, Forge linked that. One of the two places in the world a Joshua tree grows. That's right. That's right, man. That's right. Lots of gear lost that night. Can I say Vulcan is a monster. Saw the ULA rocket ship on the Ohio River. That's cool, Highlander. Yeah, it was actually carrying this. Actually, Tori Bruno retweeted Vulcan, which is pretty rad. That's a good buddy of mine. Derek's a good friend of mine. Hello. It was kind of funny as much as it was painful. The thing packs a punch, bro. New Vulcan core. Actually, we will include that as well. Yeah, Highlander, it was carrying this little cigar. You know what I'm saying? Hello. So yeah, rocket ship dropped off a another Vulcan core. ULA is cooking. Yeah, guy ain't wrong. That's really an awesome piece of equipment. I'm not gonna lie to you. Vulcan is amazing. We need smart reuse and we need it to launch more. But I think we're gonna get both of those sooner rather than later. Like I said, guys, ask Elon. It takes a while to scale up production of rocket parts. It takes a while. It took SpaceX 500 plus Raptors to scale up to Raptor 3 and go from there. Like that didn't come out right. You understand what I'm trying to say. It took SpaceX some time to get those Raptors scalable, and that's after Elon cracked the whip. It's hard to do. It's a very difficult production line. Very difficult. But yeah, still cool. And once again, can you imagine like almost weekly Vulcan launches and then bi-weekly Falcon 9 launches? See, this is what I mean, man. Some people are going to be like, well, I love ULA, I hate SpaceX, or I love SpaceX, I hate ULA. Dude, bro, why the frick do you choose? This is great. We have a scenario where we have both of these things. It's fantastic. How can you hate this? This is great. Imagine a tri-core version of Vulcan. I'm here for it, man. Let's go. Falcon heavy, Vulcan super heavy ridiculousness, Starship, SLS. I'm here for this. This is fantastic. You know, please, more rockets. Please, please make more. That's all I can ask. You know what I mean? I'm tired of pretending it's not right, Grab. I'm freaking sick of it, dude. Anyway, on to the next news here. Tricore Vulcan, what did I come into? Dude, ULA is offering a Tricore Vulcan as a launch option. They absolutely are. We've seen it on Tory Bruno's desk. He has a Tricore Vulcan because bigger rocket better. No, not again. In this thread, Eric Berger's wrong about something. Guy from Boeing corrects him. An engineer at Boeing corrects him, and he has the gall to call him a business development guy. Okay, cool. Do you guys remember during, I don't know if it was oh no, it was at the beginning of the stream. If you didn't watch the beginning of the stream, I have decided that stoking division here and this us versus them mentality that people do to kind of, you know, pit spaceflight companies against each other is not a good look and is the cringiest behavior around. Yeah, I've decided that just now. Yeah. Then I'm all in for Tricore Vulcan. Dude, I'm with you, program. Hell yeah. Bandit, this guy has the gall to... He has the gall to say dude, just NASA's not held a media briefing on Starliner's crew flight test in 11 days. This is unreal given that it's a test flight and there are huge questions about how this mission went.
integrity?
In the absence of official information, I will continue to provide updates on what I'm hearing from people involved in the program. Read the article first? Don't make me do that. Please don't make me do. So, as a response to this, Jim May, he's an engineer, rocket scientist that works on the Starliner program. Maybe if the same question didn't get asked 9 times straight at every press conference, they would be more useful than the updates being put out in text. Also, it avoids the blatant mischaracterizations of everything the project managers say. I want to be very clear here. Eric is right, I suppose, for wanting more information. However, Boeing is conducting a fault tree analysis. Fault tree analysis take time. It takes time. What do you want? An update every time they run another test? I can understand how it seems like a miscarriage, like it seems like they're taking their time, but that's fault tree analysis. It's really hard to figure out what's wrong, potentially, on a service module that's going 17,500 miles an hour around the Earth, and you can't put your hands on it. It's really difficult to figure stuff out. You've got to be very careful. It does take time. Some people have construed that as a information vacuum, which is hilarious to me. You know, once again, you're not wrong for wanting more information, but the reality of the situation is I don't think even they can tell you anything right now. And that's right off of information that we got from the press conferences. I mean, you got to listen. You got to listen to what the press conferences, you got to listen to what they say. So in this regard, I kind of agree with Jim. Like, I kind of do. I don't think Eric's wrong for wanting more information, but also at the same time, if you listened, you would know what's going on. I don't mean to be a jerk, but also, yep, if you bothered to listen to Mark Nappy and Steve Stitch talk about fault tree analysis, you'd know that that's exactly what they're working on, and you'd know that it takes time. We listen to every single one of these press conferences, and even a moron like me could extrapolate that information. Yeah, I get the silence between updates. I mean, they're just, if they're doing fault tree analysis, Matt, this is a hard problem to solve. The thruster degradation. They had deviance in their thermal modeling, which is, it's not a bad thing, right? But that's really, really something you should absolutely, that's like, don't even, like, you gotta solve this problem now. You have to understand this. It's a big problem. You don't want surprises during a test flight. That's a pretty big surprise, that thruster blowout, the seal degradation that's happening because of overheating thrusters because they didn't get their thermal model right. That's a big problem. If we want more information about that, sure. That's what I mean. You're not wrong for wanting more information about that. But once again, this is where I'm at. That dude, figuring out the deviation on your thermal model while the mission's already going that's going to take time. But then again, you're right. That's all they need to say. Can't give an update if you don't know anything new. Aqualex, I firmly believe that that's what's going on. All we need is transparency. This has been opaque as a friend. I mean, Matt, I don't mean to play whataboutism again. I'm sorry. I'm just, this is how I work. It's not contrarian. I'm just turning gears, dude. So don't get pissy with me. Just give me a second, right? Like, I'm trying to think, has there been any other scenarios like this where we just never heard anything about what was going on with the mission? Has there ever been anything like that from other companies? I mean, Firefly on Flight 2 said they made it into orbit, and their telemetry on their webcast said they didn't, and I was like, they didn't, and then they didn't. Were they transparent about that? I don't know. I mean, they acknowledged it later, but that was after the fact. Can we think of other times where stuff like this has happened with ULA or other flights? I'm just trying to get a bearing here, right? I mean, the other flip side of that is that if they're giving us daily updates, people are just going to say you're just, what do you mean? You're still, the thing's still conducting? I mean, I'm pretty sure they only hold press conferences when they learn new information. Like that based off of what I've been seeing. And heck, even the last press conference, they really didn't have anything new. They were just updating us with what was going on. You know, like Demo 1's explosion took a little while to get clarity if memory serves. I don't remember SpaceX ever acknowledging that, Matt, aside from like saying, oh, a Dragon capsule had a problem on the pad. You know, like, I'm just trying to think of what. Okay, this is a logic check for me and for everybody in chat. The logic check that I'm getting at, let's get down to brass tacks here. The logic check that I'm getting at is that everybody, I'm just trying to make sure we're not barking up Boeing's tail just because they're Boeing. Does Boeing Commercial Airlines have some very serious problems that very much need to be addressed? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. The spaceflight company is a different company. Boeing Commercial Spaceships is a different company. I don't give a frick what anybody says. Now, is it possible that both those companies kind of have a similar management structure? Yes, absolutely. Right? I'm just trying to make sure people aren't conflating those two things, because those are not the same thing. That's like saying because Cybertruck's bumper falls off that Falcon 9 is a bad design. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. And frankly, if you watch that whistling video, he bashed the bumper into the pipe. A tow hitch is not designed for shearing forces. It's designed for tension. It's designed for tensile forces. For the love of God. Just on a quick side note. You know? SpaceX wasn't transparent about Starship's test flight to the final reports. Yeah, there you go. That's what a whole lot of people are doing, and it's insufferable. This hate on Starliners is not entirely undue, but a majority of it is coming from the Boeing name. That's what I'm trying to make sure. I'm trying to make sure that we're not barking up Boeing streets because we don't like Boeing. If you have a problem with Boeing commercial airplanes, I really don't blame anyone here for being annoyed with that. They screwed up, and they screwed up bad. You know, with the MCA, that was a nightmare. Like, what the actual frick are you thinking? Right? Like, I think we can all agree on that one, right? There. Now that the people on X hating the Cybertruck even more because of that whistling. Dude, he slammed the bumper into a concrete pipe. Like, and the person in the Ford stepped on the brakes. Dude, do you know how much tensile force they put through that stupid bumper after it had been hit and it only partially fractured off? Anybody that knows anything about material science knows that, dude, that thing is insanely strong. Like, I don't give a frick what anybody says. You can harp on Cybertruck all you want. It looks ridiculous. The thing is a freaking tank. It's a tank. It's like, dude, do you know how much force you need to crack a casting, an aluminum casting like that? Like, come on. Once again, I'm also just gonna reiterate the point. Bumpers are not designed for shearing. They're not designed with shearing in mind. Those guys knew exactly what they were doing. Adding to Hell Hydra's point, SpaceX is very tight-lipped about what they did to the pad and area after IFT-1. That's what I'm trying to say, man. People are very selective about shit, Matt. About stuff, Matt, and it's really annoying. It's really annoying. That's gross. That's gross behavior. Hey, Chris, thanks for the 7 months. And Twitch Plus Me had a 3-monther before that. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. I'm just trying to be impartial here. That's all. Am I a SpaceX fanboy? Yeah, just as much as the next guy. Probably more. I love Falcon 9. It's amazing. But because people listen to me here, I have to be impartial about this stuff. I'm not going to be biased, consciously biased about engineering. That's stupid. The Boston slipped out. Sorry, I got to time myself out for a second. I swore. I apologize. Okay, what did you miss about Starliner? Nothing, FX. That's the actual thing. People are... certain journalists are trying to write an article because we've had no news about Starliner. So what have you missed? Nothing. Hey, stuff happens. That's right. I know, but people will hate the truck regardless of common sense. You know what, program? You know what, dude? This might be a little bit contrarian on my part. I love Cybertruck. You know why I love Cybertruck? I love it because people hate it. I love it. It's good. It's good, man. It's good. I love it. It's kind of cool. People hate that thing. And I'm like, all right. It's kind of sweet. Cybertruck's like a rolling, why are you booing me? I'm right. You know? I think it's cool. Personally, I think it's cool because of the 48 volt architecture. And I'm not just being contrarian. I think 48 volt architecture should be a industry standard in the automotive industry. And what knowledge do I have to back that up? Well, I take apart cars for fun. Yeah, that's what I do. I take apart cars for fun. Yeah, the headlight bezel on this thing, boys, was not. it was pretty crap. Yeah, I'll show you more about that later when I get the new clips in. You're fortunate. Shut up! Never been on that site ever. I really like the 48 volt architecture. Every car, gasoline or electric, should have 48 volt architecture nowadays. Yeah, I don't think people realize how complicated the harness on a modern car has gotten because we have a 12 volt battery in every single system, like the infotainment and all this other stuff. Digital gauges require more than that, so there needs to be DC to DC inverters everywhere on a modern car's wire harness. It's awful. It's awful. Yeah, it's awful. Let's just say that. It's awful. Yeah, it's fashionable to hate Boeing, and a lot of people are running with that to the ends of the earth. Yeah, I can't think of who off the top of my head, though. Why stop at 48? Just make it 120 volt AC. Keep up. The funny thing is that it's power over Ethernet over a custom cable. Yeah, I think it's super cool, Aqualex. I don't know why nobody has come up with the idea of making power and data cables on on a CAT connection. That's really smart. Why wouldn't someone do that? That seems like low-hanging fruit for your wire harnesses. That's a way to like extremely simplify the wire harnesses. And you know what the crazy thing is? Jim Farley, the CEO of Ford, when Elon said he sent out that how to make a 48 volt car to Ford, he's like, oh, hell yeah, you bet your butt I'm reading that. This is great. I've been wanting to do this for years. I'm like, well, why? Why haven't you? Damn it. I will not stop until every car has an option for a factory SRB. That guy spaces. That guy's the guy in here doing all the spacing.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Hey, Lev, 59-month resub. Thank you. I'm brave enough to say it. Starliner is a cool name for such a far disappointing capsule. Bro, it's still testing. Bray White, she's still testing. Give it some time, man. Yeah, Sawyer, I got you. I think what bugs me the most about Starliner is this. Capsule itself is perfectly fine. It's just the service module that's the problem. Everyone treating the capsule like a death trap, you have no idea what you're talking about. I mean, they've said multiple times, Matt, like, they've said multiple times that they could bring him home at any time. But they are taking their time to do the fault tree analysis to make sure they understand exactly what's going on. I can tend to say that that is the safest way to do this. You know, people are worried about safety. Everybody knows this, wants the Starliner story under the guise of safety. Like, it would be safer to bring them back. Oh, they're stranded on it. No, the safest thing to do, empirically, is to figure out what the heck's going on. Understand your spacecraft. That's like engineering 101. Now, once again, if people wanted to make a big deal about Boeing's deviance in their thermal model towards what was actually encountered, then yeah, that's probably the glaring issue here. And it's something that was it was glossed over by everybody. Mark Nappy said it in plain English. He's the guy that runs the Starliner program. He said in plain English, our thermal model was a little bit off. That's why we're getting the thruster overheating. And now, even though we don't really want thruster overheating, we need to figure out how those thrusters are going to perform in the heat because they get too hot. We didn't think they were going to get this hot, and they got too hot. That's why we're testing. This is not, I mean, it is rocket science, but you see what I mean? Like, I don't get how you can, people could say you're in an information vacuum and get any more straightforward than that. That's pretty straightforward stuff. I mean, Yeah, exactly, Conan. Yeah, Conan, that's a good point. Over in YouTube chat, if people are reacting like this to some thruster issues on Starliner, I'd hate to see what they were like during during Apollo 13. Yeah, can you believe that? Can you believe that? Like, anyway, all right, let's keep going. Let's see. Okay, I'm just going through my links here. Oh, so on what was it, on Friday? Rocket Lab launched the Owl for One for Owl mission, their 51st launch. Peter Beck posted this. Sir Peter Beck posted this. Oh, headphone users. Headphone users. Sorry, it's gonna get a little loud. Headphone users, you got 15 seconds. Peter Beck said that, yeah, he did comment on it, actually, Mutter. Let's see. Man, that thing gets going good. Yeah, baby. Drops a handful of random coins in the one loud, please. I can make this louder if you want. Yeah, that's pretty good. Man, that thing gets out of the hole quick. It's pretty cool, man. That's pretty good. Now, they did have a little bit of some weird phenomenon happen during staging the other day. Peter Beck did comment on it. Let me see. They had a little bit of a tip-off during separation. They said they'll take a look at it. We have very wide bounds on this, but we like them cleaner than that. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Here, if you're wondering what this is in regards to, watch this. That's, yeah. If you just changed your pants, well, I'm sorry, because this is a pucker and maybe even brown pants moment. Watch this. Watch this. Oh! Now watch. First stage. That was almost bad. That almost hit. That was almost bad. Yup. Yep. You know, I've played Kerbal enough to know that when your first stage is flying by with the business end facing towards space, staging was probably a little uncool. Also, look at how much gimbal that second stage initiates. Oh, man, dude, look at this. Yeah. Kerbal moment. Whoa. Yikes. You bet. We don't need any more of these. That was a little close. But, yeah. The mission did go off without a hitch, so that's actually super cool. The next thing that I want to get into is a blog post by a former shuttle flight controller named Wayne Hale. I've covered his blogs here a couple of times, dude, but you definitely want to listen to what this dude has to say. He gives awesome insight into what's going on in the industry. And I'm pretty sure he has a new post. This one is about flight rationale, and it was posted today. Here, check this out. So like I said, Wayne Hale's a flight director for NASA. He worked on the shuttle program. His colleagues, a colleague of his, Steve Stitch, runs the commercial crew program. Still works at NASA. Wayne doesn't though anymore. But listen to what he has to say. This is some really excellent insight from a 30-year shuttle veteran. Flight rationale. Absolute certainty can never be attained for many reasons. One of them being that even without limits on time and other resources, engineers can never be sure they have foreseen all possible contingencies, asked and answered every question, and played out every scenario. Dr. Diane Bond from the Challenger Launch Decision. The term flight rationale is not familiar to most people. Inside NASA, it means a description. It means a description of the reasons why a particular space mission is considered acceptably safe to carry out. Flight rationale is generally associated with some particular part or subsystem of a vehicle, or it can be a particular operation that is being considered. Good flight rationale describes the set of information that manifestly shows the part, subsystem, or operation will perform as required within the requisite safety margins intact. Alternatively, poor flight rationale includes unproven assumptions not the right account, but you get the idea. Unproven assumptions, incomplete testing, or analysis that contains flaws. Unfortunately, in the real world of spaceflight, there is seldom perfect flight rationale. Sometimes there is good flight rationale. More often, the rationale proposed for a flight contains ambiguities. Raptor 3 test soon, and Howie. Hey, James, what's going on? Someone must exercise judgment to determine whether the flight rationale is adequate or not. Here, I'm just going to zoom out just a... Before getting too far, remember this constant in spaceflight. It is not safe by any ordinary consideration of safety. The energies involved are orders of magnitude above those encountered in almost any other endeavor. The requirement to make flying vehicles as light as possible leads to factors of safety that are minimal. The environments encountered in spaceflight are extremely hostile to human life. Even the best designed flight-proven vehicles, under the best considerations, have analytical probability of failure that is eye-watering in comparison to everyday life. For example, airliners are supposed to be built to a fatality rate of less than 1 in 10 million. Automobiles, less their fallible drivers, even safer. The NASA acceptable failure rate for commercial crew spacecraft is about 1 in 500. No sane person would put their child on a school bus where the probability of a fatal crash is 1 in 500. So be advised, going into space is a risky business and is not safe under any normal understanding of that word. I'd like to quote Dr. A.R. Dykes of the British Institute of Structural Engineers. Engineering is the art of modeling materials we do not wholly understand into shapes we cannot precisely analyze, so as to withstand the forces we cannot properly assess, in such a way that the public has no reason to suspect the extent of our ignorance. Which perfectly sums up ordinary engineering projects like highways and dams, but is wildly optimistic for any product in aerospace engineering. Facts. Oh God, the voice, Codsworth! Engineering is the art of modeling materials we do not wholly understand. Mr. Dick. Nick, anything good? Engineers almost always start with an analysis, an attempt to mathematically demonstrate using the laws of physics that a part will do its job. But there are always assumptions in any analysis. Yeah, program for real. Some assumptions are better than others, but there are always assumptions in any analysis. Yeah, it goes back to what I was saying, guys. You're never going to be able to predict to a T precisely what the aerodynamic simulation of something flying through the air is going to do. You can get close, but it's never going to be bang on. It's always going to be enough to warrant a flight test to corroborate your analytical model. Important. Like, oh, I don't know, if you don't get your thermals right on your thrusters, for instance. And then at some point, you got to go and fly it to see how good your thermal model was. Just saying. Test is considered better than pure analysis. However, as my old mentor, the manager of the mission evaluation room, Joe Micheley, used to tell us, it is better to be ignorant than run a stupid test. Of course, Joe used more colorful language. Over and over again, I've seen some hardware test that was done which did not match the situation really being studied. It is almost impossible to test on the ground all of the combined effects of spaceflight. High vacuum is hard to replicate in the lab. The thermal environments are extreme. Gee, I wonder why he's writing this. There is no known way to induce microgravity. Radiation may play a role, etc. But even then, there is always an argument over whether the principal parts of the test are correct. For example, a metal part tested with a heavy load to see if it bends or breaks. Did we really understand what that load would be? Are we sure we got the right values? Sometimes engineering is all about the argument. Yep. If failure occurred, it is always the goal to discover the root cause and correct it. Fault tree analysis. Following a long investigation with much hardware testing and even more analysis, the team will declare that it has found the root cause, most likely, maybe. Never 100% sure. Again and again, I've been party to failure investigations that concluded the root cause had been found and thus corrective actions could be made. Except sometimes the corrective actions didn't work because the root cause wasn't accurate. Always take the determination of root cause with a grain of salt. More salt if the investigation was rushed. Gee, I'm wondering the context of what of him wanting to write about flight rationale. Interesting. And in the end, some one person, designated to be the decision maker, that person has to come to a conclusion. A good decision maker listens to arguments from all sides of an investigation. The debate needs to reach a certain status before making a decision. A good decision maker can ask penetrating questions. A good decision maker will know when to ask for more information before deciding. The engineers will always ask for more tests, more analysis, more time to get more information to be certain of their conclusions. The decider has to decide when enough has been done. The rub in all of this, having been designated decider in too many situations, is that it always involves the risk to human life. These decisions that do not affect some faceless, nameless, random human. Rather, these decisions will affect the safety of the people that you know. At the very least, these are people we have worked together with, trained together, and spent hours in difficult meetings together. Astronauts have lives just like most of us. We send our children to school with their children. Those children participate in the same after-school programs, sports, music, scouts. Your spouse and their spouse work, partied, socialized together. I've had to make decisions about safety of astronauts who were literally my neighbors, some of whom attended the same church my family does. Knowing that you will have to look at the spouses and the children in the eye after what happens, well, that does not make deciding any easier. As a flight director, I had to make calls every single day that affected the safety of astronaut crews. Most of the time, I found out how good a decision I had made in a short time, a few hours at most. As a program manager, I had to make decisions every day that would have consequences but not realized for months, perhaps years. That does not ease the burden. I do not envy today's decision makers, the ones weighing flight rationale. My only advice is to listen thoroughly, question effectively, ask for more data when necessary. But when it is time, a decision must be made. A work of fiction which I like has summed it up perfectly. Life was not safe, and nothing could make it so. Neither fashionable dresses nor bank accounts. The baseline of human life was courage. News of the World by Texas author Paulette Giles. Gee, I wonder why he's writing about flight rationale. Maybe, perhaps it would be better to take your time in this analysis, because you don't have to make a decision yet until Crew 9 launches. You know good and well what he's writing that in response to. You know good and well. I won't say any more. He wouldn't go out and say something like that just out of the blue. It's very much pertaining to Starliner. What he's saying is get as much data as you can before you're forced to make a decision. Why do you think NASA and Boeing are not preoccupied with a press conference right now? Because that's what they're doing. You know, some people say the silence is deafening. I disagree very much. I think that silence is good. That means, because if they were like, yeah, it's fine, whatever. Yeah, no, we'll bring him back tomorrow. It's fine. That's when I'd get worried. I'm dead serious about this. They have till Crew 9, Matt. That's their flight rationale. You know how I know? They said it in the press conference. Weird, huh? Just say it. Just say it. I'm just saying, dude. Stop looking at me like that. I'm just saying. They said it in the freaking press conference. Hello? I'm not just shouting into the void here, I swear. I mean, I kind of am because you all aren't here right now. I'm kind of screaming at a wall. But also, I'm not crazy. I'm telling you. When does 9 go up? September? The problem I have about that third model is they did 2 uncrewed flights, had thruster problems on the newer one, and still decided it was fine. Now, yeah, Aqualex, if you want a legit criticism, I 150% agree with you, but you don't see them saying that. They're just, oh, the silence is deafening. Oh, frick you. Like, you got to be in the loop? Piss off. They're trying to make sure these guys come back home okay. Brrr. It's almost like people are being deliberately obtuse because they want to dump on Boeing. It's obvious. It's so ridiculously obvious if you pay attention. That's what's pissing me off. You know, and you're gonna get caught. It get caught up. All the actual substance gets caught up. It's ridiculous. You 150%. You disappoint me. I expect 154. Right? It's ridiculous. And you know what, guys? The truth of the matter is that it's not anything new. You needn't look no further than the press conference, the post-launch flight review from STS-1. Look at the press conference. Somebody from the press got wind that some of the tiles came off because the booster overpressure event on STS-1, and they sat there and belittled Gene Kranz and Neil Hutchison for like 3 hours. It was disgusting behavior. Gene frickin' Kranz. Go watch the press conference. Dude, you could see them getting annoyed. This is a hard job. You don't need people asking dumb questions like that all the time to make it even harder. And then if the public turns on you, you're screwed. So, gotta just chill. Trust me on this one. All the information is there. They're doing fault tree analysis on Starliner. They'll get it done. They want to be absolutely sure because they want to have good flight rationale. Weird, huh? It's so low effort, too. All I have to do is pay attention. That's what I'm saying. Oh, my, thank you. Thank you. That's what I'm saying. Dude, there are legit things that you could bring, you could have beef with here. They don't even do that. It's just, now my sources say that they're going to bring it down with no people on it. Like, Space News grumpiness level today? No, actually not bad. I'm actually kind of having fun. I'm not going to lie. Kind of having fun. Okay, cool. I do want to read that. Woosa! Woosa! Source, trust me, bro. Like, you don't even need to do that. You don't even need to do that. It's... Oh, God. People listen to that moron, too. Okay, anyway. All right, next thing. Here we go. Check this out. Teslarati took some pictures of SpaceX's 737. And it's got tiles on it. Not really, but also, that's pretty cool. It's got tiles on it, but it doesn't. But it does. But it does. It do be having tiles on it, though. So, this 737, and I think that's a... It's an older 737. It's an older code, sir, but it checks out. I think that's a 600 or a dash 700 or something like that. There's no winglets on it, so it's an older model. It's a 700. There you go. 737-800 BBJ. Ooh, it's a business jet. Hello. Hello. It's a dash 800. There you go. Yeah, it's definitely an older one. This is not like a Max or a 800 dash 900. The 900s have winglets. The Max has a winglet up and a winglet down. Two overwing exits indicate a dash 800. Hey, there you go. Cool. This is what, yeah, the Scimitar, exactly. This is what SpaceX used. This is what SpaceX uses to shuttle employees between Hawthorne and Starbase in Brownsville. Yeah, direct flight from Hawthorne to Brownsville. So engineers and personnel can go back and forth. Company has their own private jet, which is super cool. What? What? No. 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 There's no way. There's no way. There's no freaking way. There's no way. Ah! Oh no. Bro, he's doing that on purpose, I swear. You can't make that up, dude. That freaking number is everywhere. It's everywhere, I swear. You went so high there, the mic trip. That's pretty funny, man. You can't make that up. All right. Okay. I've been saving good news for last. But anyway, Alex was tweeting this. What did Alex say? For some reason, SpaceX is scheduled a Starlink launch this Saturday from 39A, about 8 days before the latest target launch date for Crew 9. This is strange, as the usual time to get this pad ready for a crew launch is about 3 weeks. Okay. Yeah, interesting. What was this other article here that you linked, Forge? This is an opinion article. An opinion article from the Seattle Times. And now graded out because let's honor the past but bid farewell to Blue Angels, an op-ed piece from the Seattle Times. Nope. This is somebody just whining that they're too loud and probably whining about carbon emissions or some nonsense. Yep, I already know what that article is. I'm not giving that one the time of day. They can piss off. Yeah, I mean, guys, look, you can forgive me for assuming, but you know exactly what that article is going to say. Well, the data suggests that the Blue Angels add too much carbon emissions. It's probably just somebody using that as a guise because they were too loud for one day out of the year and people want to be upset about something. I'm not even kidding. You can go read that article if you want. I didn't even read it. I already know what it says. It's so predictable. No, that's not the good news. That's the good news. This is the good news. This is coming from the talk of Titusville here. Yeah, Bill, we know exactly. Over in the YouTube chat, we know exactly what that is. I don't need to read it. It's hilarious. And yeah. We could read the whole thing. We could waste our breath just to sit there and disagree and call that person an idiot. But, you know, I'm not going to do that. Let's see. Titusville Company receives SBIR to grant to continue developing multi-role space. Okay. Blackstar Orbital Technologies, a Titusville-based company, has received a federal grant to study the tactical applications and economic impacts of its proprietary high-performance small-sat class spaceplane platform. This grant comes from a Small Business Innovation Research Award from SpaceWorks, the innovation arm of the U.S. Space Force. As a unique division within AFWorks, SpaceWorks inspires and empowers collaboration with innovators to accelerate capabilities to shape our future in space. Vicky for mayor! Hell yeah! I don't know who that is. Headquarters in Los Angeles, SpaceWorks employs 40 military, civilian, and contractor personnel, executing an annual $457 million budget. Additionally, SpaceWorks partners with Space Systems Command, Commercial Space Office, Cosmo, oh, you guys did that on purpose, as a collaborative program. SBIR is essentially a seed fund designed to help small companies develop technologies. This funding will allow us to explore the dual-use applications of space drone technology, enhancing national security and defense capabilities. Our team is dedicated to pushing the boundaries of what is possible in space technology, and this award is a significant step towards realizing our vision, Chris Jeanette, CEO of Blackstar Orbital, said in a press release. Blackstar is a planned modular reusable space... The Blackstar is a planned modular reusable spaceplane platform designed for multiple roles in the space-based defense environment. It can be configured as a communications platform, cargo hauler, or to fly customers' specified platforms in a very low Earth orbit, or other orbital regime. It weighs roughly 300 kilograms and sits on a 41 by 56 by 15 footprint, making it ideal for many launch platforms. 154 is a meme number in the aerospace industry, Grimlock. That thing's little. It's about this big. Interesting. What was the X-33 footprint again? Did I see that right? 41 inches by 56 inches by 15 inches? That's this big. It's the size of a model plane. Yeah. Now it's not as cool. Still cool, but it's just a little guy. It's basically a CubeSat-sized space plane. I want a fleet of them. I mean, me too, but I also want one big one. Would you rather fight 100 CubeSat X-33s or one X-33 sized CubeSat? What is this, a space plane for ants? How can people get into the space shuttle if they can't even fit inside? It's got to be at least 3 times as big. Isn't that just a giant geosatellite? Yeah. It's a big Twinkie. I'll split it with you. How about one X-33 sized X-33? No, that right there is what I really want. I'll take one goes, thank you. Yeah. Reminds me of the scam skyscraper where they put the blueprints in inches rather than feet to trick investors. Did we talk about how Starship is apparently too big for Gateway? Yeah. Yeah, Mutter, I talked all about that on Flame Trash. Oh boy. Yep. That was the Friday special. Power and propulsion element, which was only really designed to receive a spacecraft or a spacecraft as big as Orion or just slightly bigger, is now maybe a 30 to 40 ton lander, is now receiving a 150 ton lander. That proposes some problems. Yep. Not as bad as the Halo module engineers forgetting to incorporate the mass of their wire harness into their mass calculations for the module for Gateway. This is scalable and will eventually be available in several larger variants, which will scale up from there from larger small sat and medium sat class vehicles. Oh, that's cool, Aqualux. It's not an X-33, but it's pretty cool. Next gen Starship was stacked over the weekend, and it has this dinghy. That's still cool, man. I mean, they're little mini space planes, but still cool. Did you read that the Viper rover might get rescued? It's past August 1st, Make. I'd be very be very skeptical at this point if that thing flies, and it's just, yeah, idiotic. There's no reason why they have to stop scaling there. Let's hope. What is this, Forge? Next gen Starship was stacked over the weekend and it has this dinghy. Tank baffle, maybe. Alright, I'm ducking out for a bit. Alright, Matt. Thanks for your insight, buddy. I appreciate it. I mean, it's just, it looks to be some type of swirl baffling or something. Speaking of gateway, here's a render. Okay. Yeah, see, all the gateway's plans for the power and propulsion element, this piece right here, was to have a lander that's not very big. But yet, here we are. It's just part of the methane downcomer Forge. It's just a redesign. Slap some Methalox RDEs on a 56-foot rather than a 56-inch version, and we'll see where it'll take you. I was just thinking a Methalox linear aerospike should do the trick. That should do you right. Payload capacity isn't going to be too much, but you get the whole thing back every time. Just saying. Think those rings will hold on to the fuel in zero gravity? Maybe. A Methalox. I mean, Agalex, we could. Let me think about this. Now you got the stupid gears turning because you're a jerk. I want to think about this. See, the problem with Methalox is you have that damn carbon atom. It's such a big pain in the butt to deal with that thing. But it's what keeps kind of the hydrogen copacetic there on a flight like this. You've got to deal with the mass constraints here. I'm not saying it couldn't be done. You could probably get it done. That'd be a big SSTO. It would be big. Bigger than Venture Star. In terms of an aerospike engine, I'm trying to think like a stage combustion cycle aerospike would be. You'd need to like make a Raptor aerospike to do something like that. Raptor aerospike, that would be pretty cool. Not gonna lie. How fast did China go from blueprint phase to a finished, assembled and fully functioning space station? Huzzah, it seemingly wasn't very long, but then you realize they just stole the Russians' playbook. Still, it was accomplished pretty fast for aerospace. Pretty quickly. Huzzah, look at Mir 2 and then look at the Mir 2 space station and then look at the Chinese space station. Seriously. Still wondering how they're going to do fuel transfer in space. That seems really complicated. A rocket engine can fire in space. I don't see why you couldn't. I mean, that's fluid moving around. I don't see why you couldn't do that when the rocket engine isn't firing. Just putting it out there. If you look at the Lockheed video about the lunar base concept, yeah, I had it teed up, dude. I watched it off stream. The Russian segment of the ISS is what became, yeah, that's what became of the Mir 2 modules, and the U.S. operational side of the space station is all the parts of Space Station Freedom that were manufactured when they said stop making the rest of it and put Russian stuff on the back of your space station because international cooperation. But yeah, they just wanted an excuse to gut NASA, as per usual. I don't know, man. Yeah, maybe. Anyway, Cleater put out a video. Yeah. This is a really awesome dragster, but I don't think that's the same video. Guys, yeah, I mean, you just warm up the propellant if you want to get it to go anywhere. How do you think they move the propellant around on the pads? Kerbal or workers? I want to play workers. See Kraken. But yeah, that's gonna do it for space news. I think we got through everything, dudes. Yeah, so that was really good. Yeah, we all do, W. Not gonna lie. That would probably be about enough too. Anyway, guys, I saw Sips playing workers today, and it made me want to play workers. There's the IFT5 patch. I've seen it. Yeah. Pretty cool. Pretty cool, dude. As always, thank you. Always learn a lot. My pleasure, dude. My pleasure. Let's name this. We have oil and we're cooking